back to VCS English. I'm Lucas Cyril, and I'm joined by Rebel Fox. And Rebel, we've got no time at all because I think we've got a game starting, don't we?
That's correct. Milky, let's just take some pressure off you. We'll get a chance to get in the game as soon as it kind of loads up, but we got plenty. We're making sure the stream is working. We're making sure everything's coming through. It's a new day. You're trying streaming for the first time, so let's cut some slack to ourselves and we'll talk about the game, talk about the teams as we get into game number 1. We got plenty of time still.
We do have plenty of times, and I feel like I've kind of returned to VCS for like the first time, even though I've been casting on the league for 2 years, because we've got changes to teams, we've got changes to the Rift. I still don't know what items are. It's a weird and wacky and wonderful time.
Are you saying you don't know what the new items are, or you never knew what items were the entire time? Because I might believe both of those.
I'm going to be honest, Rebel. I don't know myself, considering how badly I've played some games. Probably both of them, to be fair.
Fair enough. I think everybody's in that boat, except me. I actually got better this season somehow. But
Did you?
yeah, I'm sitting up in like Diamond for the first time.
I thought you were always Diamond.
No, I wasn't Diamond before. I never climbed to Diamond, but now I climbed to Diamond. It's probably easier to climb to Diamond, but I don't know.
Fair enough.
Anyway,
fair enough.
We got a game, man. Your favorite team's on the screen.
It is. It's Team Secret, Team Wales. I still have a poster of Team Wales on my door, so that still exists. Let's just run through the compositions, or I say the compositions, the rosters, because this is one of the first times we are seeing these teams playing in 2024. Oh my god, I'm saying 2024. Sparta, BJ, Glory, Artemis, and B. What a wonderful team. Team Wales that were able to make it to Worlds last year. Sadly couldn't get out of groups, but I think they put up a good showing nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean they only lost to GAM, which kind of sucks because the team that gated them was the other team from the region. Felt like maybe there's a possibility both could have snuck in if they had a chance to play. Because at the time Wales was actually playing a little better than what I thought GAM was playing during the play-ins. But
yes,
yeah, that's how things go. You know, that's how things go. If GAM had won out their group, it would have been fine. But instead, it was Wales that won out their group and cost them. So.
I mean, let's be honest. I think we all saw it coming. I at least saw it coming. I was like, right, Wales are going to do really well. They're then going to have to face GAM, and they're going to lose to GAM, even though GAM have been playing worse. That's how things went out. Meanwhile, for Team Secret, relatively similar to what we saw last year with a couple of changes. Most notably, no more Artifact in the mid lane, who arguably was their biggest player for the last couple of years.
I would say,
Taki getting run down and his first blood being picked up by Artemis as the Lucian Milio lane starts off fantastically.
Yeah, good play by BJ. Don't know how he snuck in there. It would be nice to see a little bit of replay because there were actually 2 wards in that mid brush, so he might have snuck all the way out and around the alcove, which is a little wild to think about. I know there's a couple flashes down. More.
Yeah, and Glory looking for a play onto Aris, but Kiang is making his way over. Where are you gonna go, Tristana? Lockdown taken down. Team Secret get a kill off their own.
Yeah, well played by Kiang. Kiang also could have tried to counter jungle a little bit more, and he decides to go for a little bit less of a greedy play here in the pure jungle to jungle matchup, and actually gets a punishment onto Glory, which is where we can jump into Team Secret's composition. Like you were saying, oh wait, are we getting a return gank? We're already getting a return gank.
It's VCS, baby. It's gank after gank. Maokai into the bottom lane. Howdy, says BJ. Here comes another gank. Let's make it 2 for Artemis. Taki pulls one back, a 1-for-1, but it will not be staying a 1-for-1 for long. Artemis makes it a double kill, 3-0 on the Lucian, and we're not even 4 minutes in.
It's not great. Okay, so Team Secret so far this season had a pretty decent win, and we're already back to fighting. So, okay, Milky, I know there's been a bit of a joke about VCS perma fighting. This is the first time this has happened in all this season.
In a while, yeah.
It was a little clean that last season too. There was still some of this last season, but for the most part, I thought we were a little bit past this, but it's just not the case. So this was the initial gank. It was just literally BJ ran in, flash W'd, found Taki. This was them pushing up, trying to fix their wave a little bit, trying to punish, I think, Artemis and B before they had a chance to back because B.
How does that?
How's what?
What was that damage onto BJ from Taki?
I mean, it's Lulu, man. Lulu's like one of the best damage dealers in the game at level 2, even with full support items. Like it's wild what this champion's capable of.
Well, I do remember last year we were kind of like, VCS isn't being very VCS-like. We went to Worlds and people were like, where's this crazy VCS that everyone's been talking about? Well, it's back. It only exists in Vietnam. Once we go to the international stage, it kind of subsides a little.
Yeah, I mean, we've been trying to shake the allegations for a little bit of time. Last year, we were during the season a little bit better, and the other big thing is like in the preseason, Vietnam was trying to beat the we don't know the meta allegations by they've been playing on like a practice server with a bunch of players from like LJL, LPL. A bunch of kind of the southeastern region, LCO, a bunch of players in those regions have been in the server to help practice the new patch. For the most part, we actually had players know what they were doing walking into the season. The only kind of frustrating thing that we've missed out on is double support item bot lanes, but that's going hopefully by the wayside for the next patch, so it's not going to be that big of a deal.
And now we're get the what are these called? Void grubs, right?
Grubs. Yeah,
Grubs.
grubs.
Yeah. Literally
Yeah.
food. If we're using English slang.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you
What
ever heard
is
that?
heard of grubs before? I've heard of grubs. I didn't know they were food. Doesn't surprise
So
me that English people eat grubs, but
no, so in the UK you can sometimes say, "Oh, do you want to go get some grub?"
oh,
Like
no.
that,
Okay,
yeah.
I think you're talking about the animal. No, yeah,
No,
grub is
wait,
different word
grubs are
than
an
grub.
animal?
Grubs are certainly an animal.
I always thought grubs was just like a way of saying insects. It's just like, some grubs or something.
I have no idea. I one way or another,
We can
grubs
let
are
Twitch
the
chat
animal,
confirm
and
for
there's
us.
now there's now void grubs, which are of course quite important. In
Yes.
fact, I think they're more important than the first dragon. That's up to deliberation a little bit, but I honestly think that the more that you have, the better, obviously. But I would prefer two grubs over two dragons, or two sets of grubs over two dragons, pretty much any day of the week. So.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Mhm.
No, grubs do seem fun. It seems fun to kill them, although I've only
Oh.
had to go one time as Artemis, sliding
Mhm.
his way into trade onto Eddie, and Eddie says, "Mate, what on earth do you think you're doing?"
Yeah, this is a bit of a tough lane. We haven't actually we've seen a fair amount of the Lucian and Melio. We've also seen a bit more of the Lucian and Nami and a few of the other enchanters that have kind of popped up. Artemis and B, I think this is one of their first times playing it because they played a lot of Varus in the first couple of weeks. Ooh.
Aris with the
Uh,
shockwave, and Glory then just ults Aris away. I would have thought maybe you want to hold on to that ult, buddy, but Glory saying, no, you're going to throw out your ult, I'll throw mine. And now we're going to potentially fight over the Drake Tristana without ult, but Aris can't really make his way over as Team Wales are pushing Secret out of the river.
They've got a sufficient amount of members here to at least make Team Wales uneasy about the prospect. It's like red-white for Eddie, which is causing problem. Kiang is trying to find an angle maybe onto Artemis and B, but again, with Melio having level 6, I just don't know that there's actually an option here. The best thing that they can say is, hey, Dragon wasn't taken. We've had this really weird kind of dynamic between junglers where sometimes junglers will just end up giving up first set of Void Grubs and first Dragon, and the trade-off is that second set of Grubs and second set of Dragon is there so they can kind of get enough done on the map. A team that's kind of cornerstone to that strategy was Cerberus, who haven't found a game win yet, but their early games have still been pretty good off the back of Ikigai, and he's been able to dig himself out of some pretty rough situations after giving up early neutral objectives. Not going to be the case here as Team Secret just drives off Wales.
I was thinking as well, as you mentioned, you'd rather get two of the Void Grubs rather than the first two Drakes. What if we can get two Void Grubs and the first two Drakes? That sounds like a very juicy prospect.
You would think that would be a pretty significant way to win the game, but I've seen some rough ones in the VCS, even with all the neutral objectives going poorly. Because as a jungler, I mean, one of your main objectives also is to play your map, and so,
Oh,
well played.
Aris flashing out of the Maokai ultimate, so BJ getting that very important summoner spell off the
This
Team
is
Secret mid laner.
this is a new prospect as well. I know you were talking about, Artifact was a large player for Team Secret for the last couple of years. Big thing was last year, Artifact basically did not play at all for Team Secret. It was actually Hero who stepped into the mid lane and was doing quite a bit of work for them, which is why, and he played some solid games. He obviously had a struggle on mages, but given that you had enough fighters and kind of things in the meta, it felt like that was good enough that he played well enough. They got third in the split, so I was like, okay, they're gonna roll back Hero. They've got this rookie sitting behind. Arrest was a rookie last year and played like one or two games. Didn't have the greatest performance. Arrest has been a beast so far this year. I think he won an MVP. He was an amazing Nico. He had some really surprising performances on this champion, or on a couple of the champions that he's been able to run. And so it's nice that we've got some fresh mid lane talent kind of stepping in, and Team Secret are the ones that are being able to kind of bolster that, which is really nice. For the last few years, it's just been Cotty and then everybody else in the league, and we've been trying to get somebody. Glory also stepped up really big last year, even though he wasn't able to shake the demons at Worlds. Obviously, the mid lane pool has basically been limited to Glory and Kadi for such a long time, with a handful of other people randomly stepping into like, oh, Froggy's pretty good, or oh, this guy's pretty good. Well, Ares has actually been looking like the real deal here for first couple of weeks of Team Secret's season.
It's been a good start for Secret, who are 2-0. Void Grubs have been started, and BJ is going to phone a friend. Sparta's going to make his way down, which will just push Kiang away. But Team Secret might want to be fighting over this. A bit of vision being cleared up by the side of Wales, as here comes Harsmid. One grub apiece. Who will get the final one? The Flash. Engage onto the Flashless Orianna. They want to play, but they just don't have the damage. Harsmid gets the kill onto BJ. Arrest will fall. Now a 2v2. One kill for one. Kiang getting down the CC. Harsmid trying to follow. Team Wales forced out of the river.
Okay. 1 for 1, not a terrible trade here for the side of Team Secret, and they pick up the second Void Grub. If you are, how much do you know about these things? I gotta ask before I get into this tangent.
I don't know much about these things.
Okay, so if you take a bunch, that's a really good thing. There's 6 that spawn over the before the 14-minute mark, which is when the Rift Herald normally spawns. If you get any amount, you do some bonus damage to towers when you hit it. You do bonus like tick true damage. But if you get 5, you get little grublings that spawn when you hit a turret. And if you get 6, you get even more of them, which means the breakpoint you need to prevent if you are trying to contest them is 5. Right there, you saw Kiang went in right at the mark where you were able to grab 4, and he grabbed the final 2 with that fight that came between the both teams. They might not have wanted to give an extra kill over to Tristana, but the fact that they denied 2 of the Void Grubs is a significant amount of power, enough that they can call that a pretty good win here on the side of Team Secret.
Team Secret will take it. However, for Team Secret, they are 2,000 gold behind the side of Team Wales. Glory is looking decently strong, but it is all about Artemis at the moment, who is 3-0. And for Team Wales, they haven't had a fight where they've been able to really utilize the advantage that Artemis has, and we can see that on the left of the screen, just how much more gold Artemis and Glory have versus their their counterparts.
There's a big reason for that, and I gotta ask you also, how much do you know about the new double support meta? That's another really important thing.
Let's talk about this play first.
Yeah, I mean, this wasn't anything crazy. Arrest didn't have ultimate, I don't think, during this, which is maybe one of the biggest reasons. Had a decent kite out against Glory, but again, it's Tristana. You're not going to have too much. Flash ends up getting, or actually, it was just Rocket Jump getting burnt. I was curious if Harsmid would flash back in on the Aatrox. It feels like he could have gotten another, maybe even 2 more kills if you were willing to flash right there and catch up to Tristana, but it didn't happen. Aatrox has actually been a very strong champion over the course of your first bit of split, and so Harsmid, as one of our resident Aatrox players, may be feeling himself a little bit better in this split. Especially good to get his confidence up. Last split, he didn't have the best performances we've ever seen from Harsmid before, so hopefully he can help shake some of those demons. All right, back to double support item. You want to talk about this?
I'll let you talk about it.
Do you know about double support item?
I'm aware,
aware of it.
I'm aware that it's a thing, and you get extra gold, and some people are like, it's the new bee's knees. It's amazing.
It's not just extra gold, man. Okay, so this item right there, I think it's 4th in the inventory of Artemis. You see that little thing with a 2 on it? That's the new ward item. After you buy the first support item, you get this unlocked after 500 gold. You get support upgrades by either killing minions, or you get it by harassing enemy champions, just like the old. It's a combination of Relic Shield and Spell Thieves. It's both in one ability. Here's the crazier part. You get a set amount of gold for killing minions, which means if you are a marksman and you kill your caster minions, you actually get more gold from killing the caster minions than you used to when you didn't kill because you are now executing them at a certain threshold. You get 2 more gold than you used to, and the gold goes in full over to your support. Great for one thing. The more important part, the item upgrades into some significant advantages. You can see both B and Taki have now finished, I think that's Dream Bubble, which is like when you provide a shield, it's sort of like an enhanced auto-attacking type ability. But there's a couple of them that do damage. One of them is called Blood Song, and it is absolutely unreasonable right now. You buy it on every marksman. It doesn't matter who it is. If you're not buying it on a marksman, you are not playing the game correctly as of this meta. Go into any other region, look at the bot lane. Both of them are going to have support items. Both of them are going to have Blood Song. Problem in VCS is like barely anybody is doing this. I'm not sure why. Artemis was able to figure out this tech. He's got Blood Song on the way. He's going to have Cyclo Sword on the way. That's why he hasn't been in fights, really. They're just letting him scale up. They're going to let him be an absolute monster come 15 minutes.
Well, goodbye outer tower in the mid lane as BJ expertly drifts the Rift Herald into charging position. Is it going to get a second charge off? It's going to be actually very close, and it should be able to. A lot of damage from the culling onto Taki, and the Herald dies. It's a sad day for League of Legends.
Ooh. Okay, there's a lot.
But I do want to go back to your point on double support items,
Sure.
because I was thinking this out with Your Way earlier. By earlier, a few days ago. And
we've had this discussion actually. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna break your heart, but go ahead.
Okay. I'm now thinking if you're thinking of the same thing that I am, but if you use your support item to kill minions as an ADC, you're trolling because you're throwing away free gold.
Why is that?
Because if you kill a minion, you get 20 gold for killing the minion, but you would have got that 20 gold roughly anyway. So if you use your procs to get extra gold by hitting enemy champions, then you still get the gold of killing the minion, so you're getting extra gold.
Consider this, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, and very drastically consider this. One of the major benefits of Relic Shield from the previous and what is now also the support item is wave control, which is a much more significant portion of the game. And also, there are times where you need to save minions for your bot laner, right? Even the best of the best of the best are going to miss minions on occasion. And so, especially when your wave crashes or like you're having trouble trying to figure out like, okay, I need to put damage here, I need to put damage here. You being able to save a full minion's value for your bot laner is still significant. There's nothing insignificant about that. So there are reasons to use the Relic Shield portion of the support item, right? Like it's not just like
I'm not saying that there aren't uses. I'm just saying in general, if you do use it for a minion, you're essentially losing gold.
I mean, yes and no. On the other hand, if the minion was going to be lost by your marksman, you're actually saving gold because now you're getting double the gold you normally would have. So there are two parts to that. If it's free minions that you can get pretty much no matter what, you shouldn't just be randomly grabbing minion like tags. But honestly, it's relatively inconsequential. Support items stack pretty fast now, and especially this game, we really haven't gotten any action.
BJ? He's looking for the pick onto Eddie. They get the CC down. There is no cleanse, and there is no Aphelios on the Rift anymore.
Yep, and Taki will be here, but it's just not going to matter. Artemis, by the way, finished his support item, which means he can go back to full farming. I think Eddie's got maybe a 20 CS advantage as a result of not being able to full farm. Glory
flashes out of the Magnet Storm, but Kiang is following up. Glory cannot turn this around. Maybe the charge is enough. No, definitely not. Kiang will survive and gets the kill.
Okay, so in a game like this, Team Wales has a very obvious strategy, which is now Artemis is going to be on basically 3 items as soon as Rapid Fire's on. Oh no, arrest.
There is no flash for the Maokai, but it doesn't matter. There is enough of a slow from Sparta, and Aris will fall. 2 kills for Wales, but Team Secret have brought in the Goon Squad. Beach has been kept alive beautifully. Sparta, you madman. What a play from the Team Wales top lane. And now trying to sidestep the damage from Harsmed, but can't quite do it. And it's a shutdown claimed by Kiang.
And another TP. That's a risky TP.
Oh, Glory teleporting into his demise. And Harsmed said, I'll take that damage. I'll heal it up. We'll take the tower. We'll get the kill. And Team Wales, for the period of a minute, start sprinting it down.
So something that happened yesterday when we were watching, especially GAM quite a bit, they have a very similar setup where like their Lucian was, or my apologies, they were playing against a team where the Lucian was, really, really strong in a lot of circumstances. Unfortunately, what had happened in that game is that the Lucian ended up getting shoved out of fights pretty significantly, and Aatrox got strong enough that eventually you were just able to kind of free dive into the backline without too much worry. I'm having flashbacks to that right now because, again, Artemis is exceptionally strong, is going to be building into armor penetration so he can try to work front to back, has a much better build for being able to assassinate players like again, the Aphelios and the Orianna and such. But when Orianna now has 2, 3 completed items, you're going to feel great. And the fact that Harsmed is going to be on 2 completed items with a decent amount of lethality, probably like 30, 40 lethality, makes him an absolute animal on the front line. Team Secret's also grabbed up 2 dragons, so they can stall the game. Again, 4 grubs to 2 with 2 dragon advantage for Team Secret means they can stall a fair amount of time. And there's not really much of a log loss to anything that they're doing at the moment, as long as they aren't just giving up free kills and giving up a bunch of gold to the side of Wales. We've seen teams win this situation from their perspective if they get their Aatrox and they get their Orianna a sufficient amount of advantage, which it seems like they're kind of on the way to doing. Not to mention, the longer Eddie continues to farm up, the closer he gets to being a much more relevant champion.
I mean, talking about coming back from bad game states, I'm pretty sure it was Team Secret against Gam in playoffs at the end of last year, where Secret, I felt, should have won that series, but Gam did the Gam thing of just pulling it back in absolutely miraculous fashion. They ended up winning the split. Either way, it is a 4K goal lead for the side of Team Wales. They are looking to pick up their first Drake and slow down the Drake stacking of Team Secret. So, I guess Team Secret, they've done well. They've been able to pick up a couple of Drakes, which, if Team Wales had those Drakes, they would now be on to Soul Point, which might be a bit of a scarier prospect. And I look to where the gold is in this game. You're looking at Artemis, and as we said before, he's not really been present in any fights. We've not had any real big 5v5 fights where Artemis has been able to flex that advantage he has, whereas Team Secret, with Hazmed 2-0 on this Aatrox, has had a little bit more presence in the skirmishes that have occurred.
Oh, actually wrapped around on his Hazmed.
Yeah, speaking of Hazmed, 1v4, not quite. He does get a fair bit of damage down onto Artemis, but not anywhere near enough. Now, what are Team Secret going to do in return? They say, hey, we see 4 people bot side. We're now going to start on the Baron Nashor. Is there anything that Team Wales can do? Sparta is just going to try to be a thorn in the side of Secret. Secret are running away from the Baron. Just finish off the Baron.
Eddie got dragged out of the pit. They don't have the damage for it. I mean, as soon as Eddie is at the pit, all Sparta has to do is stand there. Even if he dies, all they have to do is stall enough time to be able to get the rest of the team. They're about ready to cross into mid-threshold. If Sparta's not there, honestly, I think Team Secret just grabs a free Baron for absolutely nothing, and this game probably just gets evened on the spot. Instead, as a result of Sparta being there, being a bit of a nuisance, and actually driving Eddie out of the pit, Team Secret loses all possibility of grabbing that objective and making this game even state. But honestly, props to Wales. They're playing a bit more macro-oriented. Like you said, we haven't really gotten this like pure, unadulterated fight that we usually get for VCS. I know the beginning of the game was quite scrappy, but this is a very different, much more calculating Wales that's looking quite good. And I don't even know that they lose a fight. They've got Lord Doms and 2 Spark items now finished for Artemis. He's got the Blood Song. I mean, he's literally sitting on 4 completed items at this point. He's double what anybody else has in this game as a result of the support item stacking. So I don't know if they want to fight him anyway. So they can just kind of use him continuously to run the map.
Absolutely. Team Wales find a pick on bot side, and Sparta with a hero play to deny the Baron. But again, I'm looking at this solution. Yes, you've got effectively 4 items, but Team Wales need to do something with that advantage, because otherwise you're getting into a case where Aris is just getting stronger and stronger. Now they're looking for another pick onto Hazmed, locked down by BJ. Now is coming the damage. There is a culling. There is another kill for Team Wales. Can they look for more? In goes Kiang with the Rel. Big Magnet Storm and a shutdown for Aris. Team Wales are teleporting their way in. Kiang down to half health. BJ flashes in, finds Eddie on the Aphelios. Do they have the damage? Out comes Glory with the Tristana, and boom goes the Aphelios. Boom goes Team Secret. Wales find a double kill. Wales find 4, and Team Wales will take the ace.
They will. Yeah, they have a secondary damage dealer, and while they do end up losing both, they cannot take Baron, right?
No,
there's just
they
no
don't
way.
have a damage dealer.
They have 2 tanks and a Melio that's here to try to get this. I guess maybe Casante's got the consistent damage to be able to make it happen. Honestly, props to them. They took a pretty rough fight. Artemis was dead. It was a 1-for-1. They end up losing Glory in the midst of all that, and they still trust in the damage that comes out from Casante and from the Maokai to be able to clean up the remainder of that fight.
Okay,
they're absolutely
Hazmed,
right to do that.
You absolute nutter. Can he do what Sparta did a few minutes ago? I don't think so. He's getting run down. He is distracting Team Wales, who now turn their attention back towards the Baron. But here comes Taki. Artemis is here. Team Wales now have the damage to rush down the Baron, and there is no smite available for all Team Secret. Kiang still away, and Team Wales will take the Baron uncontested.
Yeah, just a really well-won fight, and that's kind of why I think Team Wales wanted to take that one in its entirety. If you take it and you end up going even, it's like, okay, the map is reset back to a normal state, and if you don't and you end up winning that fight, Artemis gets back on the map faster than anyone else because he was the first one dead, and that's easy. This was Hazmed getting caught out a little bit by BJ because he had that, he didn't get rooted up, but he was stuck between a rock and a hard place. He ended up having to turn. And then the rest of his fight's actually pretty impressive. Kiang with a great stun, a great chain CC with the shockwave from Arrest. And Arrest once again showing quite a bit of ability, because Eddie is supposed to be a damage dealer, but he's down a fair amount of itemization. Arrest is just in the back putting out pretty intense damage with this Lich Bane Orianna. If he hadn't been shoved away by that Glory ultimate right there's a legitimate chance that Glory just gets absolutely popped by the Lich Bane in the queue, and maybe this fight looks a little different. But because of the time and the space that was bought, BJ and Sparta don't take that much damage afterwards. And again, they buy more than enough to be able to win this game here and now if they wanted to. Now Artemis can just kind of walk into the base with this Baron buff, help put down a lot of the members inside of the base, and see what they can do.
Wales begin the siege, and they look for one kill. They get it. Kiang is down. 4 members of Team Secret alive as Wales pick up their first inhibitor of the game, of the series. Now they turn towards the mid lane. Another inhibitor tower will fall. Team Secret's base crushed before their very eyes. And Team Wales, will they retreat? Yes, they will. They have a Drake to claim as their prize.
Yeah, I mean they've now done unrespondable damage to the side of Team Secret's base. I don't know that there's an easy way back into this game. I mean, Eddie's going to need at least one more completed item to start doing any kind of significant damage to the frontliners on this team. I mean, it's double armor, almost triple armor Cassante. It's very nearly double armor Maokai. We're really, really kind of roughing it out here if you're on the side of Team Secret for damage on the AD department.
Arrest is strong, and he's almost got Rabadon's completed.
Arrest is very strong, and again, Rabadon's with the Lich Bane is going to make his single target damage insane. The only problem I've got with that is you've got a decent setup for a Lulu with a Rel with an Aatrox means you've got AoE damage setup. I almost wish he had gone for like Storm Surge into other burst items like a Void Staff and things like that, because you could try to one-shot multiple members of the team as opposed to picking one member up at a time. Like I said, that last fight, the Shockwave hit Artemis and killed Artemis, but you did nothing to Glory, and Glory was able to clean up the backside of the fight to be able to set up Team Wales for that wonderful Baron take. And I almost wish that Arrest would have that. Now, he does have the Rabadons completed now. We're going to have to see him carry at least 2 major fights before we get a chance at Team Secret actually coming back in this one, because they are just, again, they're roughing it out here. They're not feeling good about their prospects.
Well, there is a little bit of wave clear, but here comes the Maokai ult. Will lock down a couple of members. Hasmid away, making his way over to help Team Secret defend this inhibitor tower. But the inhibitor tower will not stand, looking for the potential play onto Sparta, who's chunked down a little bit. And the Orianna ult just doesn't do quite enough. Catches BJ, but there is just no real damage behind it. And Team Secret now have to prepare themselves for another Wales onslaught as they look to pick up the 3rd and final inhibitor.
That will probably spurn the end of the game. I mean, Baron buff is no longer here, but with the Void Grubs and with kind of cannon minions, siege minions coming in every lane, I really just don't know if they've got the damage to be able to back off against it.
The culling is doing so much work, forcing Team Secret back to their base as super minions crashing on in through the bottom lane. One Nexus tower will fall. Team Secret need to make a last stand, and they need to make it now. Team Wales just backing off momentarily, waiting for their next empowered wave to come in. It's coming in through the mid lane. It's coming in through the top lane. Team Secret need to find a play, and the shockwave is available once again for Arrest. Can he find that hero shockwave? Sparta looking for the play, able to find Eddie with the flip, but Team Wales just can't quite follow up for the moment. So much damage coming through. Sparta incredibly low, will eventually fall. So does BJ. Team Secret get 2 and don't lose a single member.
Okay, they stripped the tanks away. At first, I was a little bit curious. There's a fight going up at the top of the screen. Okay, we're
Glory,
good.
Just duking it out a little bit.
It was Glory almost trying to kill Arrest. Arrest had to flash and then got ulted and almost died as a result of it. That's TP behind this and looking for a fight.
This could be big for Team Secret. Hasmed looking to try to get in from behind. What can Kiang do? Jumping in. They're looking for the kill on Eddie. They get one. Glory looking to pop off, but surely he gets locked down. He does, but where is the follow-up to find the kill onto Glory? Hasmed finds one. Arrest is low. Taki is low, but they're both still alive. Glory locked down. Glory shut down. Team Secret keep their hopes alive. Barely.
I mean, their base is in complete tatters. They're going to be surrounded here for the next probably minute as the waves continue to crash in one by one. But again, backs against the wall, arrests the rookie, the youngster who's taken over for the mid lane, is able to make it happen. A big shockwave against the front line is what strips away their tanks. And when the tanks are stripped away, you have to play so much more defensively if you're Artemis and Glory and B. And honestly, they played that out immaculately. They were so close. Glory went jumping in multiple occasions, and every time he hit a jump button, I was worried somebody was going to die, and that was going to be the end of the game. But unfortunately, no one. It was a bend, don't break strategy here from Team Secret, and they did not break. They did an amazing job. And now they're getting closer to 4 items. I mean, Eddie now has the completed Lord Dom, so his frontline damage is going to be quite a bit better. You've also got now 4 items. You've got the Benthic Bloom finish for Arrest. That's some utility, and that's quite a bit of penetration that's now sitting on the Orianna. They're getting strong. They're down by 5,000. That's not the most insurmountable lead in the entire world. They just have to worry that they have no control of the map to contest this Baron, so they're going to have to weather yet another storm here.
Oh, dear. They were about 10,000 gold behind. They're now about 6,000 gold. And admittedly, as we get further and further into the game, that gold deficit means less and less. Arrest is a lot stronger. Same for Eddie. It all comes down to this big wombo combo. If they can find those plays as they did just a couple of minutes ago, that would be absolutely massive.
No.
Inhibitors are starting to respawn, but Team Wells, with this Baron empowered minion wave, they want to end the game. They need to end this game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think at any point that they are not in threat of taking the game completely over from Team Secret, but given how tenacious Team Secret has been, this is probably the best bet they're going to get for the remainder of the game.
The engage comes through. Kiang sacrifices himself so Eddie does not get CC down. Kiang is solo. Sparta looking for the kill. It's a 1-for-1. Team Secret will take that damage down onto BJ. Secret winning the fight so far, and Team Wales are forced to retreat yet again.
So far, again, Shockwave is now down for rest. They only have the 1 tower remaining. There's still Quadra Grubs and Baron buff here to try to set this up.
That damage onto Harsmed, just one quick trader from Artemis. It's the game on a knife's edge, not for Wales, but for Secret, as Artemis takes a huge chunk of damage. I'm not quite sure from who, but Team Wales forced away. There is a Drake up that they can pick. It will be their 3rd Cloud Drake, and it will take them on to Soul Point, while Team Secret are still stuck in their base defending. They have been well and truly sieged, but they've got enough food to survive the winter.
It's not just that. I mean, it's a stolen blue buff. That's a pretty big takeaway from the side of from the side of Secret, because now it's a team-wide blue buff, and you really wanted that for Arrest. You can kind of load up anytime you want. You can set up your lanes to be a little bit better. It seems like Team Secret's feeling kind of bold enough to be able to push the waves out a little bit. The inhibitor should be spawned in the bottom and top lane here in the next couple of seconds, and as a result, they're going to have a bit of breathing room. Not a ton of breathing room. They're going to have just a little bit of breathing room to work with, given that the waves have been fixed to some capacity here. As Baron buff's not going to be up, obviously it's still running out. They got a minute left on their Baron, and then it's just going to be gone. They haven't done too much with it. So
I got to ask, do you think Secret come back?
Man, this is we're literally staring at the Nexus. I don't know what to tell you. Team
We've
Secret
been
actually
staring
won a
at the
game.
Nexus for 5 minutes, Rebel.
It's really funny because Team Secret played, I cannot remember for the life of me who they played in week number 1, but they beat a team in this, they beat Vikings. Vikings in the same situation. Yeah. Vikings held them out of their base for like 3 straight pushes, and then they backdoored them. Team Secret.
It's Team Secret comfort zone. I believe in the Secret comeback, but can they pull it off? Team Wales.
No.
Back? What?
Oh, okay. I don't want to lose any frames.
I heard excitement, but I wasn't sure what you were getting excited about.
No, I was getting upset because it was frozen.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm terrified. I don't want to lose even a single frame because all it takes is one big maneuver and one person dying for this entire game to go, catastrophic for either side. With the waves pushed back in as well, it means the inhibitors are going to be down forever. I mean, Team Secret's just going to be stuck in their base again. That's certainly
Here we go. Team Wales want to find the play. Again, Kiang will tank. The ultimate's coming through, but he's still alive. Harsmed is low. Here comes the siege onto the final tower. Team Secret need to go in now, but they're getting low. Pushed away by the Buster Shot, and now the Nexus is laid bare. It is exposed, and Team Wales just need to hit it and end the game, but they can't. Team Secret still defending for all their life's work, but Wales have got the kills. Wales have got game number 1 of the series. It took them a while, but they finally got the job done.
Oh man. Okay. Before we get into the discussion of MVP, what a game from Wales. I mean, Artemis went kind of crazy on the bot side. They had this game plan to use him. I know they were playing a much more macro intensive game. It seems like a lot of our teams have actually picked up this kind of macro edge to be able to utilize against other squads here. Team fighting has not been nearly as prevalent as it has been. Flipping the game has not been nearly as prevalent as it has been in seasons past because teams are taking up more of the mantle of like, we're going to push around the map. We're going to make sure we're getting all of our ducks in a row before we end up going for like a game-ending push or trying something that's going to be like the life or the death of us, right? We're not getting the same levels of coin flip that we have in the past, and Wales I think exemplifies it. You can see in this game they're very methodical, and yes, it gave some chances for Team Secret to recover, but at no point was Wales under legitimate threat of like losing the game. They never had a chance of like throwing the game back to Team Secret on a lost fight. They probably had 2 full 5-on-5 losses before they really were under threat of losing the majority of their base. So you got to give them props for playing that kind of slow, methodical style.
Yeah, and I just got to quickly apologize as well because for some reason I can't get the cameras up. It was working literally before we went into game, but now it's decided to stop working for a bit. So
Yeah.
I think with that, what we'll do
Mm-hmm.
is we'll jump on into a quick break and we'll
Mm-hmm.
fix the stream. And then when we return, we'll have, I'm sure, a very, very good game too. Welcome back, everyone, to the dressing gown broadcast. It's early morning, much earlier for Rebel. In fact, one might argue it's still late night. But Game 1 has completed. Team Wales against Team Secret. And Wales, they did a lot of knocking in that game, didn't they?
Yeah, Wales was very good. I really like the way that they're setting up around bot side, given that the whole support meta means that you can get quite a bit of power out of your marksman to begin with. Played pretty well. I think Glory actually played really well that game too. It wasn't as dominant. I think statistically, from like a kill death ratio standpoint, it's not one of those games that you're gonna look and be like, oh, this was clearly Glory difference. But Glory did the most damage by a pretty significant margin. BJ set up the map really well. I really don't think Wales had too many hard weaknesses in a game like that. Even as close as it was against Team Secret, there wasn't ever really a moment where I was like, okay, Team Secret won that fight outright and like they're about to take control of the game. Wales just never really gave them that option.
Yeah, and while we were kind of watching it, and at least I was thinking, are Team Secret going to come back into this? You know, they're just about holding their own in fights, are winning a couple of the fights. At the end of the day, Team Wales were very, very patient, and they knew that they could just continue to starve out Team Secret of gold. And eventually a mistake would happen. Eventually Team Secret wouldn't play a fight perfectly, and that's what happens. You throw enough Maokai ults down, you throw enough Cullings down on top, eventually you'll get enough damage to be able to find a pick, and then win the game.
And we had some like really goofy things happen over the course of that game. For example, like the double lethality item Aatrox was a bit weird because we have seen, in fact, it was yesterday that we were on broadcast and we got to see Kratos basically carry a game from that situation on Aatrox by building Sundered Sky, and then I can't remember what the other item was. It was another bruiser item. Rather than lethality, he was going for, something that wasn't going to just like get him absolutely crushed at the beginning of a fight. Hazmed had the opposite problem. Hazmed could do some damage, but he really was not tanky enough, or he was a little too brittle to actually be a frontliner. So I think that was a big problem too. Is there wasn't a lot of people to take damage. Kiang could do it for a little bit of time as the rel, but there was just so much of it on Wales with the double marksman. I mean, Kiang could jump in, he could press an ultimate and do really well, but if the shockwave didn't insta-kill somebody, it was way too hard to actually get anything done. And that was the problem with Team Secret's composition. I really don't think they ever set up the big 5-on-5 necessarily. I don't think the Shockwave ever hit more than a couple of people. And while I think Arrest had a great game, they were not ready to take on a Wales team that was up by 5,000 gold from like 10 minutes. It was just not what their composition was designed for.
So speaking of compositions, as we head on into Game 2, we're going to be heading on into picks and bans. What do you want to see differently done by the side of Team Secret? Because for me, it felt like they didn't have much to play around at the start of the game, and as a result, they were just at the mercy of whatever Team Wales wanted to do.
I am a pretty big fan of allowing Kiang to play a little bit more aggressive. Playing the rel is fine. You actually have quite a bit of... it's a strong champion. It works well in team fights, and it takes Void Grubs really well, but you give up a decent amount of early game agency, and especially with bot lane having lost so hard, I think part of that compounded into rel having issues. Like, Kiang has played Xin Zhao, played a rel game,
And Rebel has now died.
Wasn't great. Nocturne played Bel'Veth. He's had some weird champions kind of thrown in there. The Nocturne is obviously meta. Huh? What's up? What did you say?
You died for a moment on my Discord.
Oh, I
you just
died
kind
for a
of
moment?
froze, and you were gone for about
Oh,
5
my
seconds.
bad.
So I said, and Rebels died, and then you came back. But obviously, you didn't realize anything had happened.
That's fair, obviously. Yeah, Kiang has played other champions, more dominant champions than Rel. I'd like to see Kiang go back to something dominant. I would like to see that, like, if, Eddie and Taki or some of the other lanes stumbles, maybe you don't just get absolutely bullied and bulldozed by BJ for the rest of the game. It would be nice if Kiang had the agency to be able to kind of counteract BJ's action on the map, because BJ had a really, really good first game.
So with that, we are going to jump on in to picks and bans for game number 2. Team Wales over on the blue side, Secret over on the red side. We're seeing a couple of ADCs being banned, and as well seeing BJ having his Nocturne banned away from him, which isn't something I was expecting to see.
It's not the Nocturne being banned from BJ. Nocturne's just busted as in general. First off, it's a VCS special. Everybody plays it, but it also takes Void Grubs really well. It's not super easy to brawl at the beginning of the game. We know how good it is as just a pure fighter champion. It doesn't have the map impact that a lot of other picks have, but it can actually get pretty scrappy at the beginning when you hit level 6. So there's a lot of reasons why it's become a bit of a power pick, not just here, but in a lot of places, but especially in the VCS. It's basically permaban.
And seeing a couple of ADCs taken away from Artemis.
Really
Once
going back
again,
to
we're
this?
seeing this Melio being locked in, and Team Secret going to answer once again with the
Okay.
Aphelios Lulu combination, which is exactly what they did in game one.
Yeah, I don't even think this is a particularly weak combination here from the side of Eddie and Taki. I don't know what happened last game. I remember the Maokai getting a very early gank, and that was kind of the big problem.
Two early
Melia
ganks.
is quite strong. What'd you say?
It was two early ganks from
Yeah,
BJ that got Lucian to 3 or 4 now.
and maybe that's something they're gonna have to replicate again because again, if Aphelios is able to be kind of powered up by like an Ardent Sensor Lulu, Ardent Sensor shield spamming supports are really strong. Melio gets paired with a lot of people outside of just Lucian, but mostly it's Lucian for the empowered like passive that Lucian has. But Lulu is equally good with the Ardent Sensor, equally good as like a kind of a pocket pick. So if they get out of the early game without having too much issue, it's not a bad option here for the side of Team Secret. Noticeably, we haven't gotten much deviation in champion yet. We're going to see now if they decide to change anything up. But this is the same Rel that Kiang had last game. This is the same Cassante that Sparta had last game. And now they get to defend those picks with these future bans.
Also, just want to say as well, I don't know if anyone spotted it, but the coach for Team Wales was just stood behind one of his players, and he must have clicked his pen about 50 times in the space of about 10 seconds. It was quite entertaining to watch. But the first round of picks are done and dusted. Team Secret saying, look, nothing was broken for us in the first game. And Wales say, well, we won, so nothing definitely was broken for us in game one. It is a repeat of what we have seen. The only difference is now Team Wales are the ones who are banning the Tristana, despite them being the ones who picked it in game one.
Interesting. The Syndra and the Azir bans means that they're getting rid of range. I wonder if that means Arrest wants something melee. I wonder if he wants like Silas or something along those lines, because it would be of interest to me to find out. They defended it now with 2 mid lane picks. I'm assuming they're going to go to top lane and they're going to counterpick the Sparta. I don't know why they would go to Orianna here. It feels like they're saving the top lane counter for no reason. I would rather pick the top lane counter, wait on the mid laner, unless they are really terrified of Glory taking it. But yeah, okay, I guess that's their decision. They decided to defend it by being like, okay, well you're not getting your mid lane pick. We're gonna grab the Orianna, and we're right back to that same composition, basically top to bottom that Team Secret had in game number 1.
I mean, I really wish Team Wales were able to pick the Tristan and just get the exact same comp on the exact same sides as we previously got. I don't think I've ever seen that in a competitive game. You know, a full-on 100% run back from both teams. Ooh. That's spicy. I like a bit of a Kali. And again, it's Glory saying, look, you've banned away the Tristana. I can't bully you on Tristana. I'll pick a Kali and I'm going to win this lane anyway.
Ooh, okay, the Vi was also left up. That's something that has been banned out a large amount of the time here in the VCS as well. It's a strong, strong pick. Like you had said, the Akali is something that I think it's a bit more risky than some other picks, but it's also got a lot of really powerful snowball potential with Storm Surge and some of the other pen items that have come out, even with like Lichbane being as strong as it is right now. Akali is just such a mean champion to have to deal with into the backline. In this particular laning phase, obviously Orianna's got a little better handling of the laning phase than like Azir, because Azir's damage is mostly just soldiers hitting auto attacks, and she has a lot of power in her auto attacks, but at least she can hit a shrouded Akali unlike most champions, because this champion has been a bit of a thorn in the side of a handful of the other like mid lane meta. It is actually a full run back from Team Secret. Team Secret has exactly the same composition top to bottom that they did. The only real major difference is like, I think it's jungle and mid lane for the side of Team Wales, and they're not really that far departed from what they were before.
Yeah, so let's see then how Team Secret do with their same comp. They've had a little bit of practice. They've had, you could almost call it a scrim to practice their comp, and now they have to go in again for game 2. They decided that the issue for them before was the Tristana of Glory. That has now been switched out, and Akali has been picked up in its place for Team Wales. And I'm hoping that Team Secret get a little bit more agency, or at least their laners get a bit more agency. They don't get caught out by those early BJ ganks that we saw in game number 1.
Yeah, not to mention, in this one, mid lane I think is going to be a little easier to operate now, because like the Akali is going to have some individual kill pressure, but otherwise Arrest isn't going to be auto attacked all the time, isn't going to be under like constant duress from like a marksman, threatening the tower. Akali's got to play a little bit more pensively. I would like to see that fixed up a little bit. The team composition, like if you can deliver the ball a little bit better, get multiple targets, that's going to be another big decider. And again, Aatrox in the last game had a fair amount of agency if they play the map the same way on the side of Wales. I would kind of like to see Hosmed go towards one of these more fighter builds than one of the more lethality type builds. Of course, Hosmed is the criminal who was building AP Sejuani top lane back in the day, so I doubt that we're going to get away from that. But we'll see here.
Yeah, and we've always known how good Hosmed can be on his Aatrox. Didn't really have, I feel, the opportunity to fully flex what he could do on that Aatrox. There were a couple of good skirmishes on the top side of the map, but in the end, it was dominated by that difference that Artemis was able to bring in the fights from around 20 minutes on into the game. And again, BJ on this fight does have gank presence, can be showing his face in the bottom lane, and I do feel with... I don't feel like they're major changes to the map, so let's call them subtle changes. Subtle changes to the map. I feel like it's a lot easier to gank early on in the game.
I would say, again, given that BJ was able to get it done on the Maokai previously, I would assume that in this game, BJ is not going to have too much of a problem, if Team Secret doesn't give a lot of respect over doing that. This is crazy from Kiang, by the way. Okay, okay.
BJ can't steal this away. They're both level 2, but Kiang knows exactly where BJ is waiting. None of the other players are going to be able to get here. This is going to be a straight-on 1v1, and I think BJ should just win this. Vi against Rel early on is pretty good, but Ares is starting to make his way over, and BJ decides, I've shown him who's boss.
What am I watching?
I don't know. I don't know.
Kiang was on a ward. He didn't know he was on a ward. He was like, I'm going to take Raptors. I'm not going to, go crazy going for Raptors. Then he kind of meanders into red buff, is in full view of somebody who would be taking the red buff, and then just jumps into the brush knowing that BJ is going to be there. And with Aftershock is just like, yeah, once my Aftershock's gone, I'll just walk away in poopy pants mode. Like there was literally no reason that fight should have ever been taken.
Oh wait, we're gonna get round 2. We're gonna get round 2. BJ waltzing into Kiang's jungle, but BJ this time has a lot less HP than Kiang does. So BJ's gonna decide, what if I go and gank mid lane? I ganked bot lane before. Now we can go to mid. Q flash. Oh, he tries to predict the movement. He fails to predict the movement, and Ares has a little grin and will now trade quite well onto Glory. He might get the kill here, actually. Oh, so close. But Glory does survive, has to pop the potions. And BJ was just hovering around, but never had an opportunity to go back in. And going back to that jungle 1v1, I think both players were practicing for the potential important 1v1 after this game.
It just might have been, yeah. If it ends up being Team Secret taking a win, reminder that, oh my god.
Oh, Glory, you nutcase.
He's still here. Ares has to be terrified.
Wait,
also no blue taken.
What are you doing here? And is it kill onto Glory? Glory stays. He doesn't back. He's greedy. He dies. And BJ falls as well. It's a perfect start for Team Secret.
It's kind of unbelievable, man. Like, legitimately, Ares right there saved the flash from the gank against BJ and then uses it to later kill Glory in a one-on-one. If that doesn't speak mountains to Ares's talent level, that he's being able to bully somebody like Glory.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how else to describe that to you. You just got to watch more. Kiang now takes a sizable advantage, pulling a couple of camps and is way ahead of BJ in the jungle kind of avenue. And I mean, Aatrox on that roam, again, Hosmed jumped out of lane, immediately found a very, very big opening. That early invade against Kiang, I'm astonished because Kiang got absolutely bullied by BJ. BJ walked back in trying to punish, which I thought would have been easy to force, but just was not able to. And as a result, somehow that has led to BJ being really far down in this game. This is a very different early game from what we saw in the previous.
Oh, so we're probably going to get a clip then of how Ares killed Glory, which is probably just going to be... Flash Q? I think he just throws out a random Q and it hits him.
I flash Q, for sure.
What was the burn?
It's probably Scorch.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, a little bit of a laning room. Helps out in situations specifically like this, where you can try to punish Glory. You get a Comet, you get some Scorch, you get a little bit of bonus damage, you're just not ready for it. So.
And BJ decided, instead of queuing over the wall, he'll queue into Hosmed, and then proceeded to die very shortly after, because he had no way of getting over the wall. Actually, he did have a flash available, so he chose to hold on to his flash and give a kill over. Either way, yeah, Team Secret, fairly far ahead, 1.6 thousand gold ahead. And you know what the craziest bit is? Look at the difference in bot lane compared to game 1. Now it's Eddie
Now,
who's got nearly a 20 CS lead.
Now, remember, this is CS. This is support item, Lucian. So part of that's probably that you can't just take every single minion willy nilly. This has happened last game too, where
Yeah,
there
but
was like
B has
20,
only
30
taken
minutes.
3 minions, so
That's true. That's true. Like I said, this might have been very, very recent that this actually came about. If that's the case, then Eddie is just kind of they're crushing bot lane. In fact, actually, they're up 10 minions. They're going to be up like 17 or something after this little wave kind of crashes. That probably is more or less just dominance out of the bot lane. Again, if it weren't for the Maokai, the expectation is if they're going to be drafting this Aphelios and this Lulu in the laning phase, they have to know or they have to have some kind of expectation for it. And here, you can see it doing quite a bit better than it did last time without the gank. Now they're actually looking to be the aggressors.
yeah, barrier for cleanse traded between the two ADCs. Grubs have been taken by Kiang, as Team Wales will get themselves the first strike of the game.
Yeah, 1-for-1 neutral objectives, 2,000 gold lead now for Team Secret. Bottom lane, they have the summoner advantage. Its flash is up for everybody, but Taki still has the heal. Glory's still getting bullied out of mid lane pretty effectively. Arrest is actually down a little bit of health. Glory has done a good job using his as a resource with that fleet footwork to be able to kind of stay in lane. So Arrest can't play really aggressive willy-nilly at this exact moment because Akali has some kill threat very, very easily. But that being said, 2 minutes from now, when Arrest gets the flash and the TP back, and you've got kind of everything set back up, this map looks really, really good for Team Secret to be able to kind of follow up and get a second set of Void Grubs. And at that point, your Orianna and your Aphelios, you can start actually hitting towers if you really want to. I almost think that after the first 3, they should trade for the second Dragon because this is a composition that's going to take a minute to scale. And so Team Secret, I would be looking to try to set up your bottom lane to have a little bit more dominance. Find a gank on the side of Kiang, and then get a push out of mid lane and make sure that you can go for that dragon. And would you look at that? Right on cue. Hey, Kiang.
Will this be a full-on dive? Level 6 not picked up for the side of Team Secret yet, but Kiang just wants to invade, and he wants BJ, and now Team Wales are looking to make their way over, but Team Secret should win a potential 3v3. They just need to get this wave to crash under the tower first so that Eddie and Taki can rotate over.
Yeah. I don't know if there's much that can be done here. With Triple Void Grubs also, this tower is actually under legitimate threat. Red-White's also available for Eddie. He just got that white gun, and so Crescendum is going to make this really easy to do some additional damage. B is going to be able to bunker Artemis so that he can sit under the tower, pull some additional minions, etc. But ultimately, they're going to get 2 full waves in. They're probably going to miss a handful of minions on the side of Team Wales, and they're going to get at least 2, if not more, plates, and Artemis is taking some damage.
He is indeed getting poked out by the moonshot from Eddie on that green gun. The Sentinel being dropped down as well for some extra damage. 3 tower plates secured by the side of Team Secret. And Kiang just had to sacrifice a couple of camps to be able to get that.
Yeah, forget that. I mean, Vi also had to stick around. I mean, it was a trade-off that like Yang could have been farming, but also BJ could have been farming this entire time, gone back to topside and reset the jungle. They found this timer perfectly so that both of them aren't really like that ineffective. But the fact that Kiang was able to defend Eddie and Taki where there was basically no way to get in, you could see CS difference is going to be at 30 right now. This isn't that far into the support item being taken. You've actually got quite a bit of reason to believe that Eddie and Taki are just kind of destroying this laning phase with the 3 plates in their possession as well. That's just massive. I mean, the only thing I can complain about is, again, Eddie's not going for support item, which means, again, once this is done...
Well, a little play here. Harzmed being caught out. BJ finds the play, and BJ gets a shutdown as well, 9 minutes in. Fair enough.
Interesting. Yeah, that's really weird that he had a shutdown gold bounty. How do you have a gold bounty? He's only up 5 minions. I don't get it.
I mean, by that logic, Sparta should be getting a shutdown now as well.
Yeah, I mean, Arrest is up 6 minions. Like, where's his 300 gold shutdown at this point?
Moonlight Vigil does come out, traded for the culling, but it is Artemis who comes down on top because Eddie had to play that 1v2 while Taki was going to drop down some wards.
Taki does maintain the ultimate. Artemis burnt his. B is able to keep Artemis relatively topped up as well, so this is just Eddie's health bar. He'll slowly regen it with this, with the fleet footwork over time, but it's going to take quite a bit of time, probably 3 waves before he's back up to full fighting shape. So Taki's really going to have to use his health bar and his cooldowns. That said, Kiang is here for another gank. Yeah.
And again, it's just enough to zone Artemis and be away from the tower. And Team Secret pouring more resources into Eddie. They're
No
saying, hey,
way.
Eddie, I hear you got a little bit starved in the last game. You didn't get to eat much food. Here's loads of gold for you in game number 2 as Ares and
Oh,
Glory are duking it out. And Ares is
he was
handily
winning.
winning this one. One more auto might be enough, but Glory will perfect execution his way out to safety.
Ah, this guy's he's such a Giga Chad. I mean, I don't know that there's too many rookies that actually exist, but the closest one we've got is Ares. Ares is already like easily rookie of the split in my mind that he's doing this kind of damage to some of the best mid laners that we've got. When he's doing this to Glory, when Glory's probably guaranteed the number 2, if not in some people's eyes the number 1 over top of Kadi even.
Mm.
I mean, that's such astonishing gameplay from Ares. He's been so good so far for Team Secret, and like you said, the pressure that they're putting into bot lane. Again, my expectation is they don't go for grubs; they actually go for dragons so that they can trade off. They would trade 3 for 3 for grubs, so there'd be no significant pushing advantage one way or the other. And the second dragon of the game would equalize it so that you are just basically walking out of the early game with a 2,000 gold advantage and a first item completed for your Aphelios and your Orianna without having to team fight or without having to do too much heavy lifting, which to me for Team Secret sounds like a dream. Unless they really feel like they could start pushing with Eddie and with some of the other members of this team, my opinion is it'll stay stagnant there. I don't think you need to go for 6 grubs. That might be a little bit it might not actually serve you that much in this mid game. It might give an opportunity for Wales to come back if you opt for that trade.
And I want to go into a little bit of narrative, which is not something I thought I'd be able to do this early on into the season, but it feels to me for Team Wales as Sparta just looking to get a dive onto Harsman. Will he go in? He will indeed, picks up the kill. But Team Wales just seems to remind me of Saigon Buffalo in the sense that if BJ pops off, they're doing well. If he doesn't, they don't, which I know you could say that about any jungler, but it really reminds me of what happened with Saigon Buffalo. When BJ had his split where he wasn't perma-ganking, they really struggled. And when he was just on fire, just ganking non-stop, Saigon Buffalo looked so good, as now Ares teleporting into the top lane, has nothing to defend himself, shut down picked up by BJ.
Yeah, they bring multiple members so that they can shut out the top side of the map. The TP from Ares was used to try to defend the wave. Maybe they got a little greedy there. I'm not sure exactly what the purpose of this was, but if I had to take a wild guess, they were like, hey, if we defend top tower, maybe we can contest Void Grubs. Sorry, guys, you had to give a Void Grub. It's just got to happen at some point. Although they end up not pushing for any more. They're just going to grab a couple plates on top side. They trade for a plate in mid, and Grubs are still going to go to the side of Kiang. This is astonishing. Like you said, I think times when we don't see BJ super dominant are the times where teams end up not really looking, especially teams with BJ, end up looking not like they have that much control. OG Saigon had that insane early game mapping, which was a large part of their coaching, but it was done mostly because of BJ. And so in games where he feels pensive or when he feels like he's on the back foot compared to the other jungler, you can see the massive world of difference. Now in this, Sparta, also somebody that deserves an absurd amount of credit this split, has already been, to me, looking like one of, if not the best top laner of the split entirely. This is, again, I don't know why they decided to opt for something like this, but mid lane being your bot lane and having that push there, I was expecting some kind of grub contestation with the double kill on the top side of the map with Hosman and Ares both going down, but then Wales just give it up. So they equalize gold a little bit. It's back to 1,000 gold lead for Team Secret, but you've now given up 6 grubs and a dragon at the beginning of this game, which is not what you wanted to have happen. That is like the exact opposite of how Team Wales wanted to play this.
Also something to note, Eddie has picked up 7 tower plates in this game. He is 45 CS ahead of Artemis. He is very strong. If at some point the VCS crew bring up the goal difference, we're going to see Eddie with a lot of gold. 6 Void Grubs picked up as well, so a lot of sieging power for the side of Team Secret, but Team Wales now looking to pick themselves up a Rift Herald.
One problem with that is there will be a spike here in sometime in the next couple of minutes where Wales, Artemis has the support item finished and is going to be able to do something. There's a fight now happening in kind of the top river area. I think Sparta should be able to walk out. He had to ult, but Kiang doesn't really have the support of the rest of his team, so he should just be able to claim a bunch of space in the river. Now, yeah, Team Wales needed to really sync this up with Artemis's like support item timing, because you could have beaten Eddie to the 2-item punch pretty effectively, or at least gotten to like 2.5 items with a completed support, and then you're also powered by B, so you've got this absurd amount of damage. This is maybe the first showing of that.
Harsmed walking into a bit of a trap, getting run down. Here comes the Viper. Team Secret looking to turn this around.
Wow.
Harsmed is healing up beautifully. He's still alive. He will eventually fall, but Team Secret will surely turn this into a 1v1, and it's a big shutdown. And guess who it's picked up by? It's the Team Secret ADC Eddie.
Yeah, Eddie has just been feasting in this game. Combination of both tower plates, free minions effectively. Also, a couple of kills has gone his way. This is exactly where Team Secret wanted to improve on from the previous. Now with the Rift Herald as well, they're going to get at least a charge on this tower, if not more charges. Eddie takes quite a bit of damage. See, that's the fear. Is like if Artemis is strong enough, you can do some crazy things. Look at all the grubs, man. They're grubbing.
It's literally like World War tactics. Just send them over the front into their demise, and some of them will do a little bit of damage. 1K goal lead for the side of Team Secret. And again, Eddie looking strong now, over 50 CS ahead of Artemis. Should be picking up his second item shortly. But for now, it's just, I guess, a little waiting game. We've got a Drake up in a minute. Baron will be up in 4 minutes' time. So it's just a case of push waves into each other, keep on farming, look for some potential picks.
Yeah, with Bloodsong completed, Artemis would be a lot more powerful than Eddie on this point, but Eddie is very nearly on Infinity Edge. If they end up having some kind of brawl at this point with Infinity Edge completed here for Eddie, this next dragon per se, or maybe the next neutral objective that comes out after that dragon, there's a very legitimate fear that even with this support item advantage, like Eddie might still just do more damage. You're hoping that like the pocket of B with like, again, if you had Ardent Sensor, I almost would have rushed Ardent Sensor instead of going for the Moonstone first here. I know in team fights it does quite a bit of additional healing and shielding, but I almost would have preferred the extra pocket damage for Artemis as opposed to anything else, because you can see Taki went for Shurelia's and an early Oblivion Orb to try to reduce some of the healing, which means, again, when it comes to pocketing damage, you could have been a lot better at it if you were B in this particular game. It could have been just enough to get you over the hump that Artemis would have been basically even with an Eddie who's sitting on 2 completed items, including the Infinity Edge in an auto-attacking battle. And that would have meant that, like, I think Team Secret would have been super confident walking into a 5-on-5 when they really shouldn't be if they were paying attention to the items. But Wales isn't quite on those breakpoint yet, and I wonder if there comes a time where they're going to feel confident in their abilities, because otherwise they're just going to be playing this waiting game. And if Eddie continues his kind of gold rampage the way he has the rest of this one, it's going to be really hard for them to find this 5-on-5 opportunity.
Well, the Drake is secured by Team Secret. Team Wells do not want to contest it, and the next objective is going to be, well, it's going to be the next Drake, because we're not going to be fighting over the Baron at 20 minutes. So it's just Team Secret going to be scaling up. This time for Ares, he has not gone for that terrible Lich Bane, as I would like to say. He's picked up the Ludens. I don't know, call me old. Lich Bane on Orianna just feels weird.
You're old. First off, obviously paying a bunch of disrespect to PoE back in the day, the GOAT of Unicorns of Love, back when he used to do like Nashor's, Lichbane, Orianna in the mid lane way back in like season 5 and 6. All right, so
I'm old, but not that old.
Oh, you're that old. Come on. But I think they actually improved a couple of the builds here, because you now have like the Luden's Companion, which is Ares's way of saying like, yes, it's not single target Orianna, it's actually going to be multi-target. So I almost hope it's Luden's into Storm Surge. If you hit a big ultimate, it means that you're going to just like do a ton of damage to the entire team with a big shockwave, and Kiang has a lot better access to something like that. And again, Harsmed also improves the build, because you go for Sundered Sky. Yes, he's losing right now, and that's a big part of it. But like if he also goes into Sterix Gauge and then he goes into Eclipse, he's going to have a bunch of damage, but he's also going to be a lot more survivable than he was in the previous game. And so honestly, if I was Team Secret's analyst and I like saw what happened in the last game, that would have been one of my first things, is like, hey, you guys can't build these items. Obviously that wasn't the reason they lost, but it certainly did not help that they did not have some of the tools that they might have needed in certain circumstances to really take advantage of like their best opportunities. And so now with this, I think they do a lot better with this composition kind of design as a whole. Go get him, Grubs.
Rotating over to the top side, a few Grubs, mites, as I'd like to call them as well, but they are Grubs, will just help to get this outer tower down. And now Team Secret have all 3 outer towers their way, whereas the side of Team Wales have only been able to pick up 1 tower, which is in that bottom lane. And we are still a few minutes away from that 4th Drake of the game, which could be the 3rd Drake for the side of Team Secret, as BJ, nice little smite steal.
Devastating to the morale of Team Secret right there. The biggest things are Currently, BJ is actually itemizing towards tankiness. More importantly, Sparta is going to be an absolute monster on the front end of fights. There's not a ton of armor penetration. Part of me kind of hopes that Hosmet ends up going for like a Black Cleaver to shred some of the armor. What just happened? Oh, it was
Baron,
the Baron bit. Yeah, it was shifting around. So I'd never seen that animation on screen while viewing before, so that was a little crazy.
Oh, there you go. First time for everything. Baron is up. But to go to your point about this armor that Sparta has, doesn't matter because arrest on this Orianna, we saw what he did in the previous game. Now he's got a little bit more AoE, a bit more burst damage. That's surely going to be the issue, even if Eddie is, really far ahead. As here come Team Wales looking for the pick onto Kiang, gets over the wall and out to safety. So is Team Wales burning a couple of ultimates in exchange for Kiang's flash?
And Kiang for no flash, no ultimate around this Baron buff that could potentially be up and contested relatively soon.
No, arrest, what are you doing? You just saw them there. But he does have flash available, so he does get out to safety.
Yeah. It was also flash for BJ as well. So it was flash for BJ in exchange for flash for arrest. So there's part of that's like, again, Arrest's flash is good for defense in a lot of cases. That was a defensive use of it. Is actually not going to need it now that there's like no real threat of BJ jumping on him in the backline. I doubt there's a lot of people that are going to contest as far back as Arrest was positioning. And he did finish the Storm Surge. So I agree with you. I think it was a bit of a boneheaded play. But the fact that he went flash for flash there instead of flash for nothing ends up being a pretty big deal because there's no way to contest. And they walk into Baron Pit invisible and nobody knows they're going to be here. I don't think they even have an idea that they're here right now. They're not even thinking about Baron being a possibility. Arrest is only just now passing a ward, but they had no vision of it. It is just dead. There's nothing that can be done. I don't know how they just snuck that one away so easily. But Team Wales got caught completely sleeping on this one.
Well, Rebel, hear me out here, but apparently their Baron take was a secret. No. It's called the All-Seeing Baron, but Team Wales saw nothing whatsoever. Secret now have a Baron, and they say, it's our turn to play with a Baron buff. It's our turn to start pushing waves forward and seeing how you can deal with the siege.
Yeah, and you can see it is at this point that when the next item is completed, okay, we have really put it together. Hosmed went Black Cleaver, you've got Last Whisper on the way for Eddie. When those items get completed, along with this like Storm Surge, Luden's, mid lane Orianna, the team fight is going to feel absolutely enormous for Team Secret. This is kind of the PowerPoint that they've been looking to get to for basically the entirety of 2 full games, and they are just about to finally get there, right? Glory, I like with the Rocket Belt and the Storm Surge can do some really significant dive potential, but we haven't seen Glory all that much on the back half of this game. It feels like he's been side laning, really trying to bank up some items. I don't know if the team fight's ever going to be better now for the side of Team Wales. I almost hope that they contest this dragon because I don't know what their other alternative is going to be. Like if they wait any longer, they're going to have a forced fight around the next dragon. Maybe they think they can scale a little bit better if they wait for that one, but that's all I got. I mean, it feels like a free third dragon, another Cloud Drake for the side of Team Secret. They've got this Baron to free push mid and bots. Again, Team Wales just biding their time, hoping that on the next dragon fight, which is inevitable to come for that Cloud Soul, that they're going to be the ones that can kind of call shots with enough of a fight. Never mind, they're going to call it now.
Wales do want to fight. BJ wants to make a flank. Spotted out by a control ward. Will remove it. Glory is here. This is a full-on 5v5. Wales need to deny Soul a point away from Secret. Now Harsmed is flanking the flank. Artemis doing damage, but not enough because he is denied by the shockwave. And now Secret turned the fight on over. Eddie, though, has been caught flashing away out to safety. He's a damage dealer. Glory in the backline gets 1 kill. Gets the shutdown, but surely this is still a fight that will go the way of Secret. They get another kill. It's a double kill for Kianga. 3-4-2, and they continue to charge forward, looking for the play onto B. Can they land the CC? No, they can't. Team Secret will win the fight and now turn to the Drake.
In the attempt of going into backline, I mean, Glory and BJ, they're making the dive happen. They're trying to buy space. I think the thing that really cost them at the front end of this fight for the side of Team Wales was Artemis. He lost half of his health bar before the play started. B didn't have enough in the tank to be able to get him back up to fighting shape. And as a result of the back end, for team fight really effectively quickly there. They're saying, okay, this is not a bad opportunity for us. It's just not going to happen. This is Team Secret walking away with a dragon, a fight win. You got one more chance maybe in this game. Again, around next dragon, maybe you can get strong enough to actually make something happen. But honestly, the chapter might be done here for Team Wales if they're not careful.
Yeah, it was just that very quick Orianna ult to cancel Artemis' ult, and then in comes the rest of the play.
Yeah, a couple of things. Again, biggest Artemis still has yet to put an auto attack. That was the first bit of damage he actually did in the main fight proper. Prior to that, the ultimate came out, and like you said, it was Arres's ultimate to cancel it, and then also the Storm Surge proc afterwards that dropped him to basically just under half health after everything had already been burnt by B to heal him, and that meant that there was like B's tools were limited to assist a lot of the frontliners like Sparta and BJ and Glory going in. And so tactically, that was kind of a difficult fight because your bot lane was out of resources before you really started. I almost they spent so much getting into that with like TP and flank and things like that. I almost wish they would have bailed once they lost a bunch of those tools and tried to again play for maybe next fight. They're not down too much gold. It didn't cost them that much to really try that happen. And again, if they win it and they get the dragon, the game is very, very even, if not in their favor.
Sparta's
Okay.
been a little bit caught
Sparta
out
just
here.
lives forever, man.
He does live forever, but surely not for long enough. Ares gets the kill. And actually, interestingly, Sparta has the second most gold in this game. Only second to Eddie, actually.
Sparta's a beast. Yeah,
He is.
he's up there right now. Again, this is maybe the one thing they can bank on is Sparta living for a long enough time in fights to be able to allow Artemis the space to run forward. That's probably the thing you're banking on more than anything else. Glory's got to be a little more patient with the engage. Rest can run out pretty effectively here, and this tower is not going to be under too much threat. Mid tower is also getting cracked. And that was what I was actually more focused on, as you saw. BJ heading down the bot lane immediately gave them the information necessary. Now they're going to flood into bot and maybe just grab this inner tower, and that's going to be the big gold advantage they get after this play. Is all this shoving that they did after the dragon ends up getting them 2 inner towers for a 4,500 gold lead. Again, this is why Team Wales, I think, called that play around that last dragon. It might have looked dumb. It might have not looked like the best fight ever. But the fact that, it took a little bit of snowballing here for Team Secret to be able to walk in and do this kind of damage, get this kind of gold advantage. That last fight might have been the best opportunity you had, unless you can find some kind of, punch back here for Wales.
Well, it is Secret. 4,000 gold ahead. And it's just felt relatively slow, calculated. They've been slowly, methodically building up their leads, getting stronger and stronger, not having to take too many big risks. And now they have a Cloud Soul in a couple of minutes at time. And we'll see whether Team Wales can deny that. 3 items now completed for Ares. He is so strong on this Orianna. Eddie, 3 items completed as well. Has the armor penetration to deal with the likes of Sparta and BJ too.
Why? Okay, I don't know why Artemis just sold Bloodsong, but he no longer has his support item. That is monstrous. That's probably the worst decision I've ever seen in the VCS. We've seen a mountain of bad decisions. He literally had a whole item worth of additional gold and resource that is just out of his inventory, and there is no replacement for it.
Is it when you have the completed support item, it doesn't give you diminished gold for minions anymore, does it?
No, it doesn't. There's literally no reason to have pulled it. Okay.
Team Wales looking for a potential play. Secret on the Baron, down to 5,000 HP, but Secret are turning. They're looking for a potential play, and now it's Sparta that is keeping the Baron aggroed. Team Wales want a flip. They don't want to walk away. They want to bring themselves back into this game. Can they steal it? No, they can't, but into the backline comes Glory. Is absolutely blown to shreds. Kiang trying to follow in as well. What can Arsmed do? Glory's still alive, but Team Secret are absolutely wiping Sparta and BJ. They pick up 2 kills. Thank you very much. 2 for 0 Baron as well.
Yeah, Wales this time was waiting way too long for this. Honestly, they waited way too long to begin fighting in this game. They had this little spike where, again, Artemis should have been more powerful than Eddie. They had a spike where, like, Infinity Edge was done, but it was still at item disadvantage. They waited until Eddie was ready and raring to go against anyone on this team. He had the ability to shred the front line. He had the ability to kill the back line. I mean, you could see how strong that Eddie's gotten over the course of the game. And we're not even talking about, like, Ares or Kiang or any of the other members that have just an absurd amount of gold, an absurd amount of stats stick to be able to hit people with. This Baron buff all but confirms the game for them. I mean, mid lane's going to be really hard to shove back out. Bottom lane is already shoved out. They're going to be able to look for Cloud Soul here in a couple of seconds. If they can't win on one push, the damage is going to be done sufficiently that they're never going to be able to leave the base, and Wales is probably just going to slowly get cut off from the remainder of the map. As Milky, I don't want to jinx it, but we could legitimately be going to our first 3-game series, which means we finally get the one-on-one. When we get a chance to get there, we'll talk about it a little more, but we have literally not seen it happen once this split with this new rule. And so this is an exciting time for League of Legends, because this is one of the coolest new rules anyone's implemented, and I'm really excited, hopeful that it's going to come through.
It is looking like it could be a lot of fun. Here comes the
Oh,
potential
no.
play right onto Eddie. Have Team Secret been enough more than they can do? Eddie's still alive! Still alive!
Wow.
Will finally fall. 2 kills will go the way of Team Secret. Surely they're trying to kill Smarter. He is still alive, but will eventually fall. It's a 2-for-2, but it is big shutdowns secured by the side of Team Wales.
Yeah, bottom wave also getting shoved in here, and so they're going to have to figure out a way to clear these Baron waves into Arrest. Doesn't have the ultimate quite yet, but Artemis is relatively low range. Hosmed's very powerful, going to try to keep away the Akali, and that's what's going to happen with the Void Grubs. I mean, bottom inhibitor is now just dead. If they can't just push for a win, maybe that's the possibility that they could go for here, especially if Arrest gets the ultimate back. I mean, he's maybe 10 seconds from it. Now they're just going to walk out. They've got the 8,000 gold advantage. They got the Cloud Soul. They don't need to push for anything too heavily. They can just take their win on the next wave, on the next Baron, whatever it might be. This should be Team Secret. That was an overextension. Probably the best way that Team Wales can win this game is by killing off Eddie to start things off in a fight. Just not the case. Just didn't happen. Couldn't actually get it done. Too much damage on Arrest. Too much damage now on Hosmed. Too many stats that are on Kiang to be able to kind of run the fight. There's really very, very few bones left. A little bit of fuel left in the tank here for Team Wales to be able to win this one.
It is very difficult to kill a Fed ADC that has a Lulu to keep them alive, that has a barrier as well, that has a flash. And it started off with Team Secret thinking they had a pick on Sparta.
Yeah, as far as tanky, I mean, even through all the items that Eddie has, I mean, they got him half health before they end up jumping on him. And BJ, this is the real benefit of the BJ kind of team fighting angle, is being able to ultimate, being able to queue and shut down single targets. Yes, they get the one kind of removal of everything else. Glory, fortunately, had the second half of ultimate to get out, but if he ends up losing that, I mean, he probably dies too, and that game's probably dead in the water right there. Instead, they get one more chance at life, but Eddie is going to try to snuff that out real quick because he's been pushing up top lane. Mid lane's getting shoved in by Hosmed. I mean, they don't have the Baron buff, but they still have the Void Grubs to be able to try to take this
Here
tower.
comes the engage. They
There
found
we go.
Eddie again. He doesn't have flash. He does have barrier, but he is dead. Wales find the pick, but will it be enough? Glory now locked down, taken down. Arrest gets a kill. 1-for-1. Secret continue to siege. They want the final inhibitor tower again. Wales get an even fight. They get a 1-for-1, but it just doesn't matter because Team Secret have the goal lead. They've got the minions, and now they have 3 inhibitors in their favor.
Okay. I mean, as siege minions kind of pour in, Artemis is so low range, I'm worried. Arrest doesn't have the ultimate right now. Maybe that's the one thing preventing them from just absolutely running in, but they are waiting for their waves, and you can see 2 of them timed together. This is disastrous.
Well, they are just charging in. There is no more playing this calculated. It is a brute force and end the game looking towards Sparta. The Nexus towers have fallen. Team Secret moments away from the first game 3, the first 3-game series of VCS 2024. And away we go.
Okay. All right. This is great. We'll talk about what happens after the short break, because we're gonna have to take a short break after this game to be able to get in. Team Secret, they play the exact same composition. They fix a couple of itemizations. They fix Kiang's early game a little bit more and really combat BJ, which is exactly the prescription that I provided for them. And look what happens. I mean, it is a world of difference between what happened in game 1 and what happened in game 2, despite having exactly the same champions. You got to give a ton of credit, because again, I don't know whether it was the Team Secret coaching staff that really got him back on track, or whether the team was able to diagnose it and fix whatever it was in game. But however it was that they decided to fix that little error that they were having there, you got to give them a credit beyond belief, because it would have been very easy to fall victim to the same traps that happened in game number 1. And instead, we're going to our first game 3 of the split.
We are indeed. I can see the Vietnamese casters. They're very excited. I can't tell what they're talking about, but they're probably talking about the 1v1 that is going to come up. Rebel, if you were Team Secret and Team Wales coaches, who would you be selecting for your 1v1?
Well, I have absolutely no clue. See, here's the thing is, we have heard things. By the way, damage charts, absolutely nuts. Arrest is a beast. Yeah, I don't know where they found this guy, but we've been asking for a mid prospect for years. Put this guy on a pedestal. He's got rookie this split already. Anyway, In terms of one-on-ones, I have no clue. We have heard so many things about different players. Apparently, there's this rumor that Carrick's was telling me yesterday that Pake, do you remember Pake? I know you're not like super,
Yeah,
like he's been around a little
vaguely.
bit. Apparently, Pake is undefeated in one-on-ones. We were talking about the possibility of a team signing Pake and then using him as like a backup player and only bringing him out for one-on-one specifically to win side selection for game number 3. And so, like, again, one-on-ones are impossible to predict. Sometimes your support is the best, like, one-on-one on your team. Sometimes it's like, literally anyone can be. It's just a whole different game. And so I'm kind of excited to see what that looks like. I know they have one-on-one tournaments literally all the time in the VCS. A lot of their content has revolved around that in the past. And so coming into this game, I'm excited to see who our first two kind of gladiators are going to be to try to win this away from the opposite squad.
I'm very excited. We're going to throw on over to a quick break, and when we return, we won't have game 3. We're going to have our first 1v1 of 2024. This is going to bag. Back in a bit, lads. Welcome back, everyone. We're getting ready to go into the 1v1, the first VCS 1v1, the first ever competitive 1v1 in a major/minor region league system. Rebel, do you want to introduce our two contestants?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so first off, first contestants out on the board. From Team Wales, we got Glory. From Team Secret, we got Taki.
Yeah.
Honestly, based as hell from Team Secret putting Taki out there. I know Taki is an absolute animal at this, and it's not like I think he went to Final Four when they did like a big old tournament in this regard. Here's the thing. We talked about this a little bit during this break for the couple of seconds that we were gone. This is like the shootout in soccer where it's just like it makes no sense being there. Like it's like, oh yeah, we played a whole different game. Now we're going to play a completely different game to decide who wins. It's the same thing here. The only difference is now it's for side selection. So it'd be like, oh, if you do a penalty shootout in soccer so that a team can start with something else. All right.
Oh,
no,
Sarah.
we're doing
Velcos, give us Velcos.
No. I kind of want to see the opposite. Let's see like Nocturne.
Wait,
oh, is
you
it
give it
double?
Oh my
Double
god.
Barrett. Oh my god. So the other big thing is like no one in the world does this, right? Not a region in the world. No one does 1v1s pretty much anywhere
And
for
this
any
is the
reason
best
because
ever thing.
And this is like a first ever thing. And what is the meta for 1v1s? We haven't done like legitimate world tournaments with 1v1s for like years. So nobody has seen the 1v1 meta. I don't know how you analyze this. There's a bunch of new items, there's a bunch of new champions. What is your intent? Are you supposed to go for like CS at this point? Like, are you supposed to be playing for kill? I don't really know. Obviously, both of these two are playing very passively to start with because they're playing these like very farm heavy, very poke heavy champions to start with. It's a very mechanical matchup because it's like it is a mirror matchup of skill shot based champions. This is going to make for a very interesting one-on-one between these two.
I mean, with the champions that they've picked, this is at this point they should have just played Mundo Dodgeball in the Baron Pit.
Oh, that would have been so cool. Don't even start me on Mundo Dodgeball to decide something would be awesome.
Mundo Dodgeball is one of the most entertaining things, and I still think that there might be a way of just playing it, of just letting the other Mundo throw out all of their Qs and lose their health.
So, really big thing that I think we should talk about. Okay, all right, we have some itemization and some rune differences between these two, which we will need to talk about.
Yes.
Imagine if instead of doing a one-on-one tournament, they actually go to extra game modes. So it's like, oh, the teams have to play an ARAM, or you go back and you grab like you have to play like you have to use your sub and you have to play like Hexakill, or you have to play like. Or like Dark Star. Imagine like a round of Dark Star.
Oh, Glory! He's lost.
I think he did it on I think he did it intentionally. I think he missed intentionally. Okay, now he's trolling. He's the first one to throw spells.
Taki, use your spells. Okay, that did a lot more damage.
Yeah, he hit him with the center eye.
Yeah.
Yeah. So big things. Taki went double Doran's ring, which is good for sustain. It's a lot worse in the long term in this because typically like you don't play for long term all the time.
He's gonna need that sustain.
Rules. Yeah, he needs the sustain. Not only that, but also remember, you have to get to 100 minions or 2 kills, I believe, is the way that it works. And so you have a little bit longer of a game now. And so the Lost Chapter for Glory is a lot better between waves than normal. Notice also that Taki has gone for area instead of Comet. That's because Comet doesn't always like to hit. Okay, he just wants the smoke, man. He wants the smoke. All right. Taki dodges everything. Look at this man. He's a beast.
Oh my god, Taki had no health and he's actually outplaying this now. Force the barrier to be used. I'm waiting for like the flash E. Oh, this is gonna be tight. Sidesteps the Arcade Pulse.
They're both out of mana. That's the problem. Neither one of them has mana.
I feel like with this, we can't cast it like a normal game. We've got to like WWE cast this. Taki, go on.
Glory's struggling, man. He has no flash, he has no ghost, he has no barrier. All it takes is like one ability.
Oh yeah, he got the healing pad.
He did. But Taki's got his behind him, so he's not that concerned about it.
He
missed his kill! Oh my goodness.
I mean, Glory is definitely winning the CS battle right now, but Taki is winning the fist fight.
Yeah, I mean, Taki is designed to win the fist fight. That's why he went double Dorans. He also gets a solo pad here instead of getting just the one, because Glory, he took it right in the face. So he's going to have to back, maybe. Otherwise, he loses a bunch of these minions.
He's flash forward! He's got it!
No, there's one!
First kill goes the way of Taki. You can see the team, they're not even phased at the moment. They're like, yeah, Glory will bring this one back.
Oh my god. Oh, it's so incredible. I've never seen. This is such an amazing rule. This is so awesome.
At this point, Taki's going to be like, right, Aris, out of the mid lane, I'm playing Zerath mid, and let me
Oh my
clap this
god.
guy.
And look at this too, because he doesn't go boots. He actually goes for the Aether Wisp, which gives him movement speed and
yeah.
more AP. Because Glory was going, he was originally going to go for double book. Instead of going double book, he goes boots so he can dodge skill shots more effectively. What? Oh, we're not serious right now, dude.
I mean, to be
Glory, what are we
fair,
doing?
no, to be fair, using your ult, you might as well use it to get a bit of poke damage and then see when it's back up. Oh, he missed a cannon. He missed a cannon.
Do you? I mean, I feel like in this game mode specifically, like that's just not the case.
Oh, Taki's used the ghost again. He's kiting. He's forcing
There's a barrier.
No, right up the arcade. Oh, Glory! Oh, the fancy feet! That was actually hyped. Wait, Taki's still
okay. Glory's on the ropes though.
Oh,
Taki, what are you doing? No! He can't do anything. He's gonna beat him He's gonna beat him though. He has spells. Also, Glory can't step into the healing pad.
No.
Wow. Okay.
That is another part of 1v1s. Control of the healing pads. If you can get like enough prio to deny an extra healing pad, that is so big in these 1v1s.
Glory, I think, also has to back here. Like, there's no other option but to back here because like Taki just had him on the ropes.
Glory is level 6 and Taki is level 9.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's a plate too. Oh my god, Cannon's gonna be denied probably. Oh my goodness. Like, forget anything else. Like, there might be a whole item completed here for Taki. If he sells his Doran's rings, he might just get a full item. There's cooldown reduction. I honestly, you might get Luden's Companion just for the extra burst, like a little bit of penetration, a lot of AP. But in this case,
if he just buys
like
Guardian Angel or something completely.
He's not. Yeah, he's just coming back out with cooldown. He is up just flat out a whole Codex and 2 whole Doran's rings over top of Glory here. That's a little disastrous. That's a nice take. I see. I like the take because like Glory is beginning the push, and so you don't want Glory to have control of that healing pad, so you just take it ahead of time. While it doesn't help you that much on the take, it actually helps you deny Glory any actual reason to be shoving that hard. Wow. Okay, a double W straight center shot. Oh my goodness, this is awesome.
The fancy feet. I mean, on the plus side, if Glory gets a kill, he does get 450 shutdown gold.
That is very true. Okay, Glory, man, he is just taking these shots. Oh, I was terrified.
To be fair, when Glory doesn't think about throwing out abilities and just tries to sidestep, he is very good at sidestepping everything. I'll give him that.
I mean, he's insane. Yeah, barrier is back
up.
Oh. He might have to burn barrier. Nope, shots are terrible. See, okay, Taki's bad with the ultimate.
I'm not a fan of Zerath quick ults, like, because you've got 2 ways of Zerath ulting. You can do quick, like 1, 2, 3, 4. The other one is like just waiting a really long time, and you get in the other player's head of like, when are you going to throw it? And then they get itchy, and they start just moving like crazy.
Here we go.
This might be it. This might be it. Oh, the mana barrier flash forward. He's done it. Team Secret gets side selection. And wouldn't it be hilarious now if they lose?
Oh, that was awesome. That was so awesome. Okay, first ever professional 1v1 won by Taki. How fitting for the VCS to have a 1v1 tournament to decide side selection for Game 3 and for Taki to be the victor of it. Honestly, he was a beast. The Ghost Flash selection, both times the Flash coming into the kill. Obviously, the barrier is going to be a really good choice in a lot of 1v1s, but right there, Taki flexing on the counterpart mid laner and showing him how Zerath is actually played.
That was just beautiful. I wish we could get a Zerath now in the game, but it's just nowhere even close to being a meta. No. That was epic. Yeah, I think we'll take a short break.
Before we get into game number 3, but yeah, hey, listen, revolutionary new tech. New one-on-one tournament to decide. Let's get it everywhere because that was awesome. That was one of the most exciting things I think we've had at VCS for a very long time.
Have it for every single series. I don't care if it's grand finals, game 5. That's how
you know how much more hype it would be to have like a grand finals with it. No, tell me that's not awesome.
That would be absolutely epic. But we're going to throw into a short break, and we will be back shortly. Not with a 1v1, but with game 3 of the series. See you in a bit. Welcome back, everyone. We're getting ready to head on into Game 3 after the most epic game we have seen. No, it wasn't a normal game. It was a 1v1 that was won by the side of Team Secret and their support, Taki, no less.
Yeah. Again, for all the excitement that it generated, it was just for side selection. I'm assuming Team Secret wants to stay on red. Red has won all but 2 games now. Yeah, I think that's right. It's funny because they have won all but 2 games. One of those games was Team Secret winning on blue side against, I think it was Rainbow Warriors. So it's like, for the most part, Red has just been insanely dominant most of the split. I don't know why teams are having propensity for this. If I had to take a wild guess, learning all this new meta stuff means counter picks probably feel a lot better, because there's just no way to like you don't know what anything in terms of pure power is going to be since it's getting banned. So like Rumble and Nocturne are going to feel a lot better to have if you're on blue side. So in situations like that, I'm guessing they just don't have the crazy power picks to back up blue side's first pick ability as opposed to the counter pick. And so they go to red, and that's exactly what happens. Team Secret opts to go back to the side they've been playing on most of the series.
Well, into picks and bans we go. And again, we're seeing very similar to bans to what we saw in Game 1 and 2. Again, Team Wells, though, banning away the Tristana, which I'm still really confused why they're doing this when they didn't do it in Game 1. And Glory's Tristana was very pivotal to their victory.
They might be a little afraid of Ares's Tristana. That would be
Possibly.
a crazy decision. Okay, so they've gone for Orianna first pick, and it is locked. There is a small animation. There didn't used to be. They've added a small little kind of notch to the animation that happens when a champion gets locked now, which is nice. But Orianna first pick, it's not a bad champion. Don't get me wrong. It's very well rounded. Glory is also very good at Orianna. It's just this early in the draft to prioritize that means you give over Melio Lucian if you want immediately on second rotation. You give up the idea of the Orianna this early. It's not like you can flex that in other places, assumably. Again, B, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Is this the salty runback switcheroo edition?
I don't think so. I could be wrong. If they decide to go Rel here, I wouldn't be shocked if BJ wanted that one. But
I just want to see the Aphelios Lulu locked up by Artemis and B now.
Nah, the Varus went through. Okay. I saw the Ashe and I was like, okay, Ashe has not been banned. What got banned in return? And then I'm like, right, Varus has been banned the first 2 games, but now it's going to come through. And this is the Artemis preference. Artemis has been playing quite a bit of lethality Varus at the beginning of the season. And so they're going to bank on that with the Nautilus being sufficient to at least neutralize, if not straight up win the laning phase against the Lucian and the Melio. And then, take this into the later stage of the game with quite a bit of poke to play into the now Azir, which is, again, props. Varus is strong into a decent number of these champions as the game continues, outranging Lucian and Azir and also Melio by a significant portion if he can get out of the early laning phase. So B's Nautilus, all it has to do is a little bit of work being in the double range lane, but as long as they don't lose too bad, Artemis should be fine going into the mid game.
Junglers now being banned away. Rel and Vi both taking off the board. Xin Zhao banned from BJ. I wonder if we'll see the Maokai ban, although it was BJ himself who did play that over in Game 1, and it was a huge, huge pick for Team Wells in that game.
So a lot of our primary jungle picks have been taken away. So just to point out, Xin Zhao is one of the most picked, and then Vi is also up there. Lee Sin has been popular, and Jarvan has been popular as the next 2 most kind of picked champions across the board. If we get dipped down a little further, go ahead.
Jarvan for Wells is useless against Lucian, Azir, but Jarvan for Secret against immobile carries of Varus and Orianna would be quite good, right?
It might be. It's hard to tell. To me, it's preference a lot because Kiang is the one that's been a little bit more rambunctious with the Belveth. BJ, I'm wondering if he goes Poppy here. Feels like Poppy could be a really good pick into Cassante, into Lucian, into Azir. I mean, that feels obvious. I'm not a big fan of the Lee Sin. I don't think it has enough playmaking potential to warrant the fact that there are champions that just use the items better. He doesn't feel like this massive early game damage threat unless you decide to go for this is actually our first Viego. That's kind of cool. Viego's been picked in other regions, but this is our first Viego, and it goes to BJ, who has been famously very good at this in the past. So I'm glad they swapped off of the Lee Sin.
As long as I don't have to cast a Hui, I am happy. Viego is locked in. Will the Kha'Zix be locked in for Secret? We saw this being hovered in Game 2, actually.
Yeah, a little bit. I wonder if Kiang, I think, has had assassin picks in the background. Is that locked? Is that actually locked? Wow.
It is locked
in. Interesting. Okay, so Kha'Zix has been taken in some of this early season as being like a decent counter to a lot of like the kind of fightery types. So when you've got like Xin Zhao and some of these other champions that are really powerful to begin with, Kha'Zix doesn't necessarily beat the daylights out of them to begin with, but eventually with a little bit of itemization, that single target damage is just so high that it's really hard to deal with. So like that's I think what we're playing for is Kiang a little bit more backgroundish, playing a little bit more for some of the scaling, but ultimately becoming a bit of a beast in this one-on-one mode against a lot of the junglers that would normally persist, and has a lot of backline threat as well against something like a Varus. So I gotta give a ton of props. This is a very unique set of junglers. It's the first time we've seen Viego and Kha'Zix over the course of this split.
Very excited to see how this one pans out. Secret looked very good in game 2. Can they carry that momentum over into game 3? And then, of course, you've got Taki, who'll be flying high after his impeccable 1v1 performance against Glory. Glory, who is now playing on the Orianna, switching up his mid laner for the 3rd time today.
Very true. Showing off the champion pool. That's another lane that I think I'm looking at most excitedly because Ares game 1, while Glory was a beast on Tristana, I don't think had the most dominating of laning phase outside of some of the ganks that came through. And game 2 kind of got run a little bit. And so Glory is supposed to be one of the top 2 mid laners in the region. If he's getting did this hard by a rookie, I feel like he's got to put his foot down and say, all right, I'm picking the Orianna away from you. I'm going to bully you in the laning phase with this Orianna against your Azir pick, which is like an old school like pick that you would grab into this one. And hopefully his team fighting looks really good because I think Glory needs a bit of a confidence boost here as Team Secret comes into this with all the momentum. They won game 2. They won the one-on-one. They got their side selection, and they picked up a lot of champions they wanted.
Absolutely. Also, random spiel here. Are the shopkeepers on different sides of the map different?
Yeah.
What? I never knew that.
You never knew that?
I never knew that. It was just with that graphic, I was like, hang on, that's not Boris.
Huh.
And it's only just registered for me now.
Okay. We can talk through a couple of things here, I guess, now that we have the pregame. It's been a while since we've done, like, pure tech talk on this. So, Kha'Zix versus the Viego. Viego's got a number of items you could go for very quickly, so does Kha'Zix, but we're going to get an invade, so we don't even have a chance to talk about it.
Hasmed's ghosting. He's throwing out the Hintofo strikes. Kiang is on his way. Ares is on the other side, but Ares is in a 1v1 against Glory right now, so we've got a 2v2 and a 1v1. Hasmed ghosted in, ran in, died. His first blood picked up by Sparta. And Kiang cannot get his first cab now. Oh dear, it's VCS well and true.
What in the hell were they thinking right there? Kha'Zix is not like, okay, and bottom lane is also going a bit badly because B immediately gets hooked onto Eddie and Taki, and they just take like a... Yeah, I mean, Eddie on Lucian starting W is not the craziest thing. That's a pretty standard Lucian tech. I have no idea what just happened. First off, I gotta see what Kiang started. He started Q. This is unbelievable. So if you're gonna do this, you probably start W so you can get some healing and you get some slow. It does more damage than your Q because they're paired together. If they're individual, it does a lot more damage to go Q. But because they're paired, why are you doing that? Also, Kha'Zix isn't that strong level 1. Kazante's got some strength, but they're playing against a Gnar and a Viego. How do you ever expect to win that one-on-one?
Oh, that barrier. Or that shield actually from Taki. Yeah, Team Secret have not started off well. Considering that game 2 was really clean, methodical from them, they just took the little leads, stacked the little leads on top of each other. This is like we're watching a completely different team.
How did they stack that wave so massively as well on bottom side? I feel like every minion from the first 2 waves was standing in that little stack right there for a hot minute. I just don't know. This is a very weird early game for Team Secret. They're already down 1,000 gold. That feels pretty bad. I'm hoping they can kind of bring it back, even though I know it's going to be a bit of a rough one. I wanted to talk about the Kha'Zix tech because there's a couple of different build paths you can go down. Because first strike, you could either do Profane Hydra, which is the new Lethality Hydra, or you can go for like Cyclosword, which is my preference. Cyclosword, I think, is an underrated beyond comparison item, and it's absolutely amazing for anybody with additional dashes for that auto attack burst. They might just turn on Kha'Zix here.
Yep,
Kiang.
Looking for Kiang.
What are you doing?
He jumps over the wall, but he's burning. He's going to die to BeanJ. This is not the game that Kiang needed. It's game 2 flipped on his head. It's not Kiang dominated the jungle. It's BeanJ. Flash forward. Ares able to flash out of the Nautilus hook just in time.
What in the world is happening? So like B is there to help hold the wave because okay, so Kang comes to gank, pushes
Yeah.
Glory out, immediately walks through Vision into River. You can see that right here. BJ's there and he's like, "Why don't we just kill this guy? He's dead on my screen." So then Arrest is like, "Hey, I gotta push out mid lane. I gotta make sure mid lane is shoved so that we can punish Glory a little bit more." B comes to catch the wave and then just says, "I'm gonna hook you." And Arrest isn't ready for that? Like, why is Team Secret playing like they don't know how League of Legends works?
Look, Kian got the other scuttle crab. He got Glory's flash as well. We take that. We take those wins. We take those wins.
I guess, yeah.
It's the little things that matter. Just give Team Secret a moment. They need to remember how the game works. But it's been a really, really rough start for Team Secret. And once again, we're seeing the Lucian lane losing in isolation. And I want to say losing in isolation for the third time because game one, it was those early ganks we saw from BJ that allowed the Lucian to get so far ahead.
I don't know. The second game they were doing, I think, perfectly fine on their lonesome. This game's a little bit rougher because they're playing low range. And again, a big reason why you put that middle brush ward down as a support is because you don't want to get hooked out of it, especially into hook champions. That's true. In this one, if you're Eddie, you got to go support item. That's going to help you out, bridge this gap between yourself and Varus quite a bit different. I'm really hoping Eddie decides to go for that tech because it would frustrate me beyond comparison if he did not.
Eddie has not picked up the support item all
Yet.
series, but Artemis has picked it up in both games.
Okay.
Just for our viewers who may have missed game 1 and 2, so we'll see whether Eddie has been informed about the super OP tech that is picking up 2 support items in the bottom lane. But a 1.5k goal lead for the side of Team Wales as RS is playing a little bit safe, and while B is roaming around the map, Eddie and Taki are taking this opportunity to regain control of the wave, and now BJ just trying to find Kiang in his own jungle.
Yeah, Kiang needed time. Again, Kha'Zix in the very hard early game is not exactly the greatest of like. He's good at dueling because he has a lot of single target damage, but honestly, you want your first evolution as Kha'Zix and maybe even your second evolution before you really start messing around with like a bunch of the map. So you needed to buy time for Kiang, which is oftentimes the wrong play when you're talking about who Kiang is. Kiang is a very interactive jungler and likes running the map. And in this particular case,
here's some interaction. Jump forward from Kiang, kill onto Glory, and Team Secret get their first kill of the game.
You know what's crazy is without Flash, Glory's under a lot of pressure by Arrest to potentially get shoved. He didn't even use it there. They can actually come back and repeat this gank a little bit later. So I wouldn't be shocked if they try to make that happen. They really want to juice this Kha'Zix. This is probably the fastest way to do it, is to punish this mage in the mid lane with the Azir ultimate. Bottom lane actually has neutralized somehow. I mean, they're down probably 10 CS, but if Team Secret end up grabbing Void Grubs, they have a legitimate chance at kind of salvaging this early game, despite how disastrous it truly has been. BJ is still going to be an absolute monster. He's going for that Kraken Slayer, looking to become a bit of a beast on this Viego.
Oh, poor Kiang getting caught up, but never mind. Kiang has a bit of damage. He's not level 6, and the Heartbreaker will absolutely destroy him. Forced to flash away. Hazmed is on his way over. Flash forward. Shield is there. Is it enough? They get the kill. They make it a 1-for-1. BJ will fall, and now Hazmed has to duke it out with Sparta. Flashes over the wall and out to safety, but Team Secret will take that trade definitely.
Give a ton of credit over to the side of Hazmed. He was able to give that last second bit of support over to Kiang. It meant that there was no reset, no soul steal here from BJ. BJ's been dominating a lot of the early game. At minimum, he gets Kiang, something for his life instead of just giving it up completely. Kiang's kind of getting run right now. BJ's an absolute monster. You can see the initial burst is really good, but again, Kiang is not strong enough yet to be able to take this one-on-one, and I love this little sidestep. Hazmed was a little too far out. He sidesteps the Q. The E gives him just enough of a shield for the W to come out from Hazmed and denies the ability to reset, and then Sparta has to just completely leave this situation with the flash. So Hazmed actually pulling quite a bit. Bottom lane,
Taki taking a lot of damage. Also, regarding the top side play, Hazmed now has double bust, which is going to help him massively in the 1v1 as Team Wales are looking to pick up the Void Grubs. First set of Void Grubs will be going the way of Wales.
Yes, it will. At this point, if I'm Kiang, I would have preferred to go for the other build path, if I'm being 100% honest, unfortunately. So he's kind of in a rough place. I wonder if he decides to go for Hydra so that he can clear the jungle faster, or if he's going to stick with Cyclosword so that he can actually do quite a bit more burst, because those are the two options that I would go for personally. Yumu's is also on the table, but I think Yumu's in this game might be it'll force you onto a second item spike instead of a first item spike in a lot of circumstances, and I think you don't need that as Kha'Zix. You need to try to jumpstart yourself a little bit more. So while Cyclosword might not be like the late game option, Profane Hydra might be a little bit more greedy because you're trying to go for more farming options. I think those are the two ways you go. I don't think you go Yumu's and try to bridge the gap between the two. I think you either go greedy for camps or you go for damage as bot lane. It's dead Eddie.
Eddie got hooked, but I didn't even see the animation. Being shielded, kept alive for a little bit, but not for long enough. And now Kiang is showing needs to be careful because the Dredge line is back up off cooldown. But Team Wales just decide, right, we're speeding up, and Eddie has no way out.
BJ has complete control of this map. He is very strong as the Viego, but more importantly, I mean, without Kha'Zix having the support of his lanes all that well, you run into problems. Like Lucian Melio, a lot of lanes is going to have a lot of priority because Lucian's quite strong early. Artemis and B kind of ruined that from minute number 1. B specifically with the hook was able to kind of really decimate this laning phase and has made it very difficult for the two to manage. Mid lane is going okay, but it's not going perfectly. Obviously, Glory has a champion that works fine into his ear, and so the two of them are kind of just at odds. And typically, Sparta is going to be shoving up Hasmed. There's not a lot of perfect opportunity to just straight up take a big fight, and so there's not a lot of lane support for Kiang to be able to get in and do much. And as a result, you're seeing him kind of fall behind. He actually goes immediately for Umbral Glaive as a bit more of a support item. He's going to be able to track. It's a quick one-item spike for some lethality and some AD. It's going to help you with some ward coverage. But honestly, I think it's a bit of a bailout item that's going to really limit the Kha'Zix ability to try to take fights in any capacity.
Well, a 2K goalie for Team Wales. Drake has been started. This is going to be their second Drake. And as you've mentioned, B&J absolutely controlling this game. They got the Void Grubs. They've now got 2 Drakes, and they are super far ahead, a 30 CS lead as well. Kiang looking over to the top side of the map. Can Hasme get the flip onto Sparta? No, he can't.
No.
Sparta sidesteps very nicely.
Yeah, I think right there, if he lands the Q knockup, he actually can ult Gnar back into Kiang, and then they get basically an immediate elimination, and they find a great shutdown. Maybe Kiang gets a little bit more gold, but okay, Kiang, what? Oh. Okay.
There's no he dies here, surely, because Glory's making his way over. There's a burn. Kiang, oh! Fair enough, Kiang. Well played, son. I don't know how he pulled that one off.
He needed a second rotation of spells. That's the thing, is like with Kha'Zix on this first lethality item, you have quite a bit. I was terrified because I'm like, I don't know that there's a way for him to actually get a second rotation of spells. The second ultimate should have been the tip-off, and it's hilarious because he actually found a way to slink into the brush just a tiny bit of time before his ultimate wore off, and it's what allowed him to use that Q out of the brush and just completely eviscerate BJ. BJ had more than enough damage to kill him in that one-on-one, but similar to what I was talking about with Carrix yesterday, Kiang played like a little rat and just avoided all possibility of being seen. He gave no counterplay. That's the thing, is like, and that's brilliancy. To me, that speaks to Kiang's ability on the Kha'Zix. I mean, sometimes when you see pro players pick these kind of individual picks and then gotta run on them, you always go like, oh, are you even good at the champion? Are you first timing it? That to me shows that Kiang knows how to play this. It was a bad early game. But yeah, see, this first rotation, and he's half health, and you can see how bad BJ is. They see him escape. I was worried the red buff would kill him. They saw him turn around, so I'm a little surprised that BJ didn't actually try something. I know it was just a pure 1-for-1, and they're okay with that trade going on to Orianna, but Kiang pulls a little bit of damage, and if they get these Void Grubs and shut that out, I mean, the game's not gone.
Out. Kiang finding another gank, finding another kill. Arrest is staying alive. It's 2 kills for Team Secret. And they are pulling themselves back into this game, now less than 1,000 gold behind, and Wales are forced away from the Void Grubs as well.
Oh, you gotta be shitting me right now. And Milky, there's no way that Kiang's gonna be able to get them out of this sticky situation.
Oh, dear. It's the Kiang hard carry angle. Kiang, you need to be careful. Sparta's deciding, oh, maybe I'll go over to the Void Grubs. And Kiang's like, I'm not going to jump out of here. I'm just going to take the Void Grubs and I'm going to let my top laner deal with both Sparta and B, as Artemis is making his way over. And Kiang now jumps over. Only able to get 1. So if Wales still get 2, they still get the Void Grubs to charge at towers, right?
They will get the triple grubbling, yes. That's the big thing. The bot lane rotated faster. Artemis and B came up here for the play. That's a bit of a bailout. B&J, despite being very strong on a champion he knows, it's astonishing. This is the play we were talking about where like Glory doesn't have flash as a result of that previous play, and so Arrest just pushes him right into the waiting arms of Kha'Zix. Arrest gets a kill afterwards, so that means the Azir is going to be a little bit stronger than before. You can appreciate a lot of what's happened between this mid jungle. This is kind of the crux of Team Secret now. For some reason, they've gone away from the hyper late game Eddy. I don't think late game hyper ADCs are quite as strong as they were. They get that meta read out fast, and they say, okay, Arrest is an absolute animal. Kiang is playing really well. We've banked basically our entire future on Kiang being our #1 jungler, and it's not the worst decision we've ever seen. This team is playing pretty good League of Legends, and they've gotten themselves out of a very sticky situation.
Oh, Glory with a sidestep. Oh, Glory with a shockwave at the end. Uno reverse card. I thought Hasmed had that one, but well played by Glory.
The Q was on its way down to execute Glory, and that ultimate stopped him in his tracks. I mean, that had to be like the bullet stopped just short of Orianna to be able to bring that elimination down. It's not the biggest shutdown in the entire world. Obviously, like K'Sante giving a kill to Orianna is going to be harmful because Orianna scales pretty well. But like, that was so painful to watch for Hasmed because he is literally one auto, one Q away from killing that Orianna before that shockwave just barely kills him.
And fellas, this is what happens when you have 3 armor items against the mage.
That's true. I mean, you're not expecting to interact much with Orianna, and she's pretty much the only magic damage on the team. What happened in this fight? Okay, W was really good. Was the ultimate here? The ultimate was just, I think, the wrong. I think he should have ulted to start with after the W to take her into the river. I don't know why he decided that. There's the key. Oh, he actually landed the key. Oh, there it is. That was the auto. Okay, so it was the auto attack afterwards that almost hit him. I don't know why he didn't just ult to start with, but that happens from time to time. Maybe he thought the damage was going to be sufficient anyway. He was damn close to being able to calculate that one. But again, Glory, staring down the barrel, able to make it happen and under very, very supreme pressure.
Well, Haunting Guys completed for Glory, getting towards that second item. And I guess we're now going to see a third different item build on the champion as the Rift Herald is dropped in the mid lane, and that is going to get a charge off onto the tower.
Yeah, nobody decides to take it in. It's going to be a dragon traded for just the one, as long as they're able to actually get it. Yep, nope, not going to be anything crazy. Kiang going to be able to escape, I think, as well. Not going to have too many problems here. Sparta and BJ are going to chase him because they don't know where Kiang wrap around to.
Oh, it's going to be close. Kiang is forced to run. I think he's dead now. Does he execute? No, he's going to turn on to BJ while BJ is still isolated.
BJ is terrified of this guy.
Kiang's getting out. Hasmed's on his way over. Flashes out of the dredge line. Kiang on mission impossible right now, but now it's Hasmed who is in the firing line, and Team Wells are like, you know what, we're done here. We failed. We're going home, boys.
Again, Kiang has figured out yet another little rat comp to be able to work with. I mean, these rat champions. That's the thing is, you have a bunch of rat champions, which are champions that have no interaction with them. So, like, I like Varus is a good example of a rat champion because he hits you with an arrow for half your health bar from across the screen. Another really big one's LeBlanc, like AD LeBlanc. She W's in, she autos you, she does 1,000 damage, she autos back, she W's back, and you have no interaction with her, right? This is the same thing. Kiang just goes invisible, jumps away. You can't see him. He's a rat. There's nothing else to be said.
Okay, is Twitch a rat champion?
Of course he is.
Okay.
He jumps out. He's literally made of rat. That's what he's made of.
He is made of rat. Is that how we say it? You know, what's he made out? He's made out of rat.
I mean, is he not made out of rat?
No, he is made out of rat. But
there you go. That's you might not agree with the way it's said, but that is true. So.
Yeah, we're made of humans. It sounds
correct, yeah.
It sounds terrifying, almost as if we're constructed from multiple different human parts, but we are in fact made of humans. And if anyone is tuning in, if anyone's tuning in,
thank you for the body horror.
Yeah. If anyone's tuning in, wondering what on earth are these two nutcases talking about, we don't know.
I was very clear about what I was describing. Very clear and judgment. I thought I was quite verbose about what I was discussing. We got into body horror, and I'm off the deep end now.
Yeah. We're talking about champions that are a bit like rats because they don't do anything in the game apart from.
That's not true. That's not what I said.
Okay.
What I said is they're champions that have no interaction. They don't provide interaction, like Kang's Kha'Zix. Because again, he was sitting in the middle of 3 enemy champions and he was able to slink away like a little rat. That's just what happens. I gotta stop saying that. That's too many things. Sometimes, yeah, obviously. I mean, it's not. I'm not gonna call him a slinky. That's just not true.
Slinky. No, dogs are slinky because you get a slinky dog, don't you?
Ooh. I was waiting
Anyway,
for Kiang
back.
to get something done. BJ now has to very heavily respect Kiang, which is insane. After the early game where he was up like 5 camps, he was up 2 kills. Kiang getting that 1 assassination early snowballed so heavily. It's 1,500 still in favor of Wales, but it doesn't feel like it. It feels like Team Secret still is right there alongside them, competing for this game. Neither team really feels like they have the driver. Their team fight late game is going to be beastly, right? Like BJ is still scaling, Oriana's still scaling. You still have this rat champion of the Varus being able to hit you from a screen away. Again, if you have shockwave delivery and you have an arrow, I mean, Azir is dead, Lucian's dead. There's just not much you can do, and so that level of on non-interaction feels pretty bad for Team Secret as this game goes on. So while yes, they have dug themselves out of what could have been a very disastrous early game from Kiang, falling to that early gank, Hazmet burning the ghost and giving first blood away. They're in a position where maybe they can strike back. I do think they have to hit sometime in the next minute or two. They have to figure out a way to force Wales into a fight so they can use this Kha'Zix and more importantly, this Lucian, when this Blood Song and this Rapid Fire Cannon are done, are going to spike above Artemis for a very short amount of time. This is when they have to find their fight.
And if we're talking about potential fights in just over a minute's time, we do have the Drake. And if it is the Drake secured by Team Wales, that would be them onto Cloud Soul point. We had Cloud Soul over in Game 1, which Team Wales did win. So we'll see whether Team Secret can find a window to force a fight. And most importantly as well for Kiang, it's not that there's a fight, it's that he can find someone isolated. Because when someone's isolated, that's when Kha'Zix can really put out damage.
I mean, you can see the level of damage he was able to do when BJ was isolated to the point where he won. Wow, what happened on top side? BJ flashed, Kiang did not. I'm guessing what happened was that BJ flashed to try to get some kind of assassination or escape a shockwave. It is. There's no, at minimum, they have to fight for it, which actually might be to the benefit of Team Secret, even though they're down a member.
Well, it's a dredge line, it's a hook, and Team Wales are taking the fight. The very low members of BJ. Look at the damage on Sparta. Already 2 kills. Team Secret are winning 4v5 out of absolutely nowhere. Team Wales cannot believe what's happening. A shutdown for Secret, and Secret are now tied on gold. Secret will take the Baron, and for the first time this game, Rebel, Team Secret are in the driving seat.
It's not out of nowhere. This didn't happen randomly as an anomaly. They are more powerful. Azir is on 2 items, his finished Leanders and Nastors. He is more powerful than Glory with the current build with Seraphs and everything else. There is a full support item. It is a Blood Song finish for Eddie. They are up in damage and up in itemization. This is what happened with Kiang. Again, I'm assuming it was just a flash to try to get away from Shockwave. Didn't actually happen. But the fight afterwards, they hook Eddie. There's not enough follow-up. Immediately afterwards, Taki is able to save him with a lot of the melee abilities and watch Azir, watch Eddie. Everyone dies because they have damage, Milky. This was never in question. You don't take this fight if you're Wales. You're not trying to spike super far ahead. You take your advantages where you can get them. You wait for your team fight on 3 items, and that's how you play this. You just gave an amazing avenue for Team Secret to get through because you did not understand the break point that we were at in the game.
Well, that is a turnaround and a half. You use your ultimates, you use those big abilities to get one pick. You don't have them for the team fight. Team Secret take advantage of that. They take advantage of this Lucian and Azir, and they absolutely beat Wales into the ground. Wales are able to get a Drake, so it is 2 Drakes apiece, but that is the only win that Team Wales are able to take. And this outer tower in the top lane, but Team Secret are now ahead, or even on gold, we can say.
Yeah. The primary problem with Team Secret is they have gotten themselves out of a bad situation. They can obviously team fight. The issue is they cannot siege for shit. It's just, it can't happen. They've got 1 champion with any amount of range. It's a Rest. He's on bottom side punishing the Gnar. They're going to be able to grab that tower. Mid lane is going to be under some threat, but B keeps them kind of at bay to make sure Eddie can't just haphazardly throw his body at this. And trading for top tower means it's basically like 2 for 1 after all things are said and done. That last shot's not quite going to do it. No one's here on defense. Sparta's here a little bit late. They actually might not be able to defend this inner tower, which would be huge. That's why Glory gets called onto this one. So Cassante should be pushing top lane right now, making sure that there is another tower under threat.
Collapse from Team Wales in the mid lane. They're looking for Eddie. There comes the Heartbreaker. Eddie being kept alive, dashing away, trying to stay alive. Big shield. 1 already picked up for the side of Team Secret, and they're looking for more. They get B. Now they're looking for BJ. Kiang has fallen. BJ will get the reset, but he's in a 1v3. Surely Force does indeed. Team Secret get 3 for 2. Wales try to collapse on Eddie. It does work, but not well enough.
They get back too fast and they're ready for that fight coming through. Team Secret knew exactly how to handle a situation like that. I really wanted to see them play a little bit more macro. I almost would have preferred to see Eddie and Taki really play defensive out of mid lane because they overcommitted to that defense. And then, top lane gets punished. You grab top tower. You maybe grab mid tower as well with your next minion wave, or they all collapse to mid lane and they call a little bit fast. And they know much better than me because as soon as they all collapse into mid lane, there's a defense mounted by Whales that ends up being, 3 kills back to the side of Team Secret. They do lose their mid tower as a result, but they get a massive fight win. They're up 1,500 gold. You can see here, look where Sparta's at on the map. I mean, they're waiting for the next minion wave to try to come in. Top bottom lane, you can see pushing by Azir and by Kha'Zix, but they get first move because the defense has to be made by Glory. He can't redeploy into mid lane. And so Eddie just over appropriates. He's like, I gotta get this minion wave in. BJ comes in from the side, but they're already collapsing with Kha'Zix and with K'Sante, and then Azir is gonna be here just in time for the tail end of the fight. BJ does pretty well, but then Kiang gets some isolation. BJ tries to go crazy inside of this fight by taking over some of the souls, tries to jump out on Kha'Zix. I don't really know what happened in that circumstance. I think the Q caught him before the leap. Oh, it was K'Sante ult? Okay, that was what happened. I thought for some reason the Q tagged him from Melio before his leap came out, and for some reason the animation got delayed, so he got knocked back to where he was supposed to be after the Q. But that's not what happened. Again, K'Sante ultimate, better read on that than I did. But Team Secret, again, taking advantage of the fact that their composition is strong now, and really, really forcing that issue, as opposed to Wales, who, again, I think they're just a little too early so far.
Well, we've got a Drake in 1.5 minutes time. Team Secret now 1,500 gold ahead. Ares has not died yet this game. 205. Taki didn't die in the 1v1. He hasn't died in this game either. 006 getting close to the James Bond at KDA. And Team Wales, now this is the point where you look at Team Wales and they're probably going to be starting to panic. They were in the driving seat for 20 minutes of this game and now it's all starting to crumble. It's all starting to fall apart. And this is where you have to show that kind of mental fortitude to bring yourself back into the game, to find these opportunities to get picks and just pull a bit of gold back your way.
I mean, the biggest thing is you're not really concerned with gaining a massive gold advantage. You're still the team that I think in the grand scheme is going to have the better team fight come late game. It's going to be easier. You have more range to work with. You're tied in dragons, so you can stall this game. Team Secret is the one that has the onus to really kind of push the issue when they've got this advantage because they're the team that has to fight. They're the team that can't really siege. They're the team that doesn't scale as well, has a harder team fight with the Kha'Zix. I mean, there are so many problems with Team Secret's composition as this game goes on. The fact that Wales is playing into it is just astonishing, but if they can get a read on that quickly, I mean, they're not really down a lot of gold. It's 1,500, but Sparta's still going to be a menace in the side lane. They have the Void Grubs, so it's easy enough to go punishing for towers if you're split pushing in the grand scheme of things. And again, Orianna's going to get powerful over time. The Varus just hit 3rd item, so he's going to suddenly be a lot more powerful. And BJ is never going to get weak after that early game, even if he's starting to lose some health.
Well, big shutdown for Team Wales. Kiang just going too far into his jungle, looking for an isolated target, but he himself was isolated. And now, with a Baron up in 30 seconds, that could be the objective of Team Wales. But Secret, and more specifically Ares, finding this little window to pick up a Drake. 3 Cloud Drakes now for the tide of Team Secret.
Yeah, as this game kind of continues, Kiang's pressure and Kiang's ability is going to get tested even more. It gets harder and harder to play the Kha'Zix in a pure team fight, especially when you're not snowballed drastically ahead. I know there have been a couple of really key and pivotal moments for Kiang. One of the biggest ones is being able to catch targets who are next to Viego when he's going for a reset soul take, have the ability to become isolated, and as a result, that's where like Kha'Zix can maybe find a strike. You saw that earlier when he was able to find a bunch of damage onto B. And it really trading any champion at this point for the Kha'Zix, as long as there's no neutral objective up, if it's a pure 5-on-5, you're doing okay with that, which is why like I'm okay with certain situations like that kind of playing out the way they have. Gold has been equalized. I'm still in favor that Wales is going to has the advantage in this game. It's just that Team Secret, they seem doomed from the start. The fact that they've driven themselves to a position where they have a potential winning late game could actually work out. Again, I don't think they win the late game, but the fact that they're even still in this game is nothing short of a miracle.
But we think back to game 1 as well. Team Secret looked down and out, but they kept the game barely alive, but not for about 10 minutes. So we'll see what they can do where the gold is even Team Wales looking to contest this Baron. There's a teleport flank coming in. Taki on one side. He's now out of the pit. It's 3 members of Secret in the pit. Big shockwave! 3 members of Secret are obliterated. Secret may have got the Baron, but Wales will take their lives and will be charging down the mid lane.
Yo, what? How in the world did Glory slip that kind of an ultimate into the pit? There is no way.
Is this game?
He just found 4 members. It might be. They've got 6 Void Grub. There's nobody on the map except for Taki. I mean, at minimum, it's going to be like completely unstoppable damage to the base. They've got 10 seconds. It might just be game. They've got Void Grubs. I mean, at best, there's going to be a mounted defense at the defense of their Nexus, but that's pretty much it. That's at best. You're right. They're just dead.
Taki may not have died in this game, but Team Secret certainly will. Wales will make it 2-1 as they take the Nexus and take the series.
Holy Orianna ultimate. I have no clue how that ball got into a perfect position. Honestly, Glory wins MVP for that one shockwave alone, because this game was getting so dicey. Wales needed a little bit more time to scale. Hitting a 3-man shockwave that basically insta-kills 3 people in the back of Baron Pit as they're taking it. That's exactly the type of fight that you're looking for. Normally, you have to create more creative, or you have to find better ways to have the ball delivery. Not the case in this one. Instead, Glory just finds a perfect shockwave and ends up taking this game. They're tenacious. Again, it was really hard. Team Secret made it difficult for them, but they were not unprepared for the late game team fighting.
The Secret winning streak does end, and, well, we can see the players having a little bit of fun. You guys can't. Ha. But, again, Secret just seemed desperate when they didn't need to. They were ahead in goal, but as you said, Rebel, their composition was going to get that little bit weaker, and clearly they felt they needed to just accelerate their advantage, and sadly, they didn't quite accelerate it, or they decelerated it.
Yeah, honestly, for that last little play from Team Secret, in places like that, that's the only time you can force Wales into fights. I honestly would have looked to maybe turn off the Baron the second they walked in and looked for a fight. Again, as long as Ares is fine in the fight and not really kind of driven out, not hit by a massive Orianna ultimate that hits him like a ton of bricks, he probably helps win that fight pretty effectively because there's enough like damage on the front line. He and Lucian were doing a fair amount to be able to kill off both frontliners and backliners alike. I honestly would have turned and looked for the fight instead of committed to the Baron, but they felt like, oh, yeah, we can get it, we can get out. Just clearly miscalculated, unfortunately. Our first best of 3, a blue side win. Lots of cool stuff that happened in this one here, Milky. That's pretty big.
Yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic. But that is all from us. There is another series, but sadly we can't cover it unless... I don't know if you're always coming in later, but either way, I have to go.
I don't think so.
And I'm producing the stream, not Spood. That's why the stream has been scuffed, so apologies for that. But thank you everyone for tuning in. We hope you've enjoyed this best of 3, particularly that very cool 1v1. But from myself and Rebel, the dressing gown casters for today, we'll catch you next time. Goodbye.